from Kern Government Television. Welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting. Originating from the County Administrative Center, located at 1115 Truxton Avenue in Bakersfield, California. Grounded in ideas, energy, and innovation, Kern County's vision is to be a driving force for the world's fifth largest economy. And our mission is to exceed expectations of the communities we serve, changing the way they feel about government, those who manage it, and the services it provides. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Thank you. Let me call to order the 9 a.m. session of the regular meeting of Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. First item is roll call.
Supervisor Peters.
Here.
Supervisor Flores.
Here.
Supervisor Couch.
Here.
Supervisor Perez.
The next item is the salute to the flag. That is going to be led this morning by, and I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to meet you right before the meeting. I was running a little behind. By Frank Miller. He is a Navy veteran. He served aboard the USS, and I'm going to get this wrong. How do you say that? Bonhomme Richard? Correct. Thank you. From 1990, I'm sorry? Okay. From 1997 to 2001, he is a dedicated housing manager working for the California Veterans Assistance Foundation with a common goal of reaching and maintaining veterans' homelessness at functional zero. Frank himself has struggled with addiction and homelessness, and while he might tell you that the struggle never ends, he is certainly on the right path and doing well after 7 years sober. Congratulations on that. Thank you. Frank doesn't think he's super cool, but because of hardworking, dedicated, and kind-hearted people like him, there is hope in our community. So, sir, thank you for your willingness to lead us in the flag salute today, and thank you for your service to our country. At the conclusion of the flag salute, I'd ask you to remain standing for a moment of prayer, silence, or meditation, whichever you prefer. Thank you. Frank?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
The next item is everyone's favorite, the pet of the week. So I'm going to ask Nick Cullen, our Director of Animal Services, to come out. I was running a little behind, Nick, so I didn't get a chance to do our usual morning routine. Who do you have?
Well, good morning, Chairman Couch, members of the board. I have with me Lily. Lily is a little scared this morning, especially of her own reflection. She was growling and barking at her own reflection. But she's a sweet, sweet dog.
I understand that, but mine bothers me too.
Sometimes I don't recognize myself. She's available for adoption right now at the Kern County Animal Shelter. She's about 15 to 20 pounds. She's not going to get much bigger than this right now, and she's about a year old.
Okay, thank you for what you and your department do for us every day. Let's find Lily a forever home, guys. Thank you. See you, Nick. Next is a report on actions taken in closed session from our last meeting, which was Tuesday, August 27th at 9 a.m. Ms. Rezan.
Thank you. Good morning, Board. On August 27th, you met in closed session on item number 106, and there is no reportable action.
Thank you. The next is the consent agenda. All items listed with a C, A, or a C above the item number considered to be routine and non-controversial by county staff. We will act on those, or can act on those, all in one motion. We're going to allow you the opportunity to make any comments or on any of these items. The consent agenda starts on page 2, and on page 2, it's only items 6 and 7. On to page 3, it's all the items 10 through 16. Page 4, all the items 17 through 22. Page 5, all the items 23 through 30. Page 6, items 31 through 33. And then 35 through 38. The recommended action on 36, 37, and 38 will be changed from approve, authorize chairman to sign, to continue to September 24th on all three, 36, 37, and 38. Continuing to page 7, it's all the items 39 through 45. On 39, the recommended action is to approve, authorize chairman to sign. That should be changed as well to continue to September 24. On to page 6, all the items 46 through 52. Page 9, items 53 through 60. We have a revised recommended action on on item 56, and that is to continue to Tuesday, September 24th at 9 a.m. On to page 10, all the items 61 through 65. Did I get that right? Okay. Anyone here want to make a comment about any of the items I just read off? Seeing none, I return it to the board for questions, comments, or action.
Make a motion on consent.
Second.
Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved, 3 ayes, Supervisor Perez absent.
Thank you. The reason all those had to have their recommended actions changed is we need 4 votes for some of those items, so we had to defer those. That takes us back to the resolutions and proclamations portion of the meeting, which is the top of page 2. Item 1, Supervisor Peters is going to present items 1, 2, and 4. Item 1 proclaims September 28th through 29 as Kern County Fair Days. Item 2 proclaims October 24 as Paint the Town Pink Month in Kern County in recognition of National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And item 4 proclaims September 2024 as National Suicide Prevention Month in Kern County.
Thank you, Chairman. I will motion approval on items 1, 2, and 4.
Second.
Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved, 3 ayes, 1 absent, Supervisor Perez.
Oh, boy.
Good morning, Chairman Couch, members of the board. I'm joined here today by our Executive Director of the Fair, Mike Alcott, and more importantly, Casey the Bull. And we're here today to proclaim September 18th through the 29th, 2024 as Kern County Fair Days. And we have a proclamation here, and with that, I will get out of Mike's way and let him talk about some of the great stuff to expect at this year's fair.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you, board. I appreciate you having us here today, and thank you, audience, for coming to see Casey. I'm sure there's more pressing things on the agenda than us, but I'd like to thank the board for all that you do for us. I get a little emotional. You did a lot for us during COVID, and I thank you for that. We've done a lot of, it's my meds, sorry. We've done a lot of improvements on the grounds that are your grounds. We've done a lot of paving, we've done a lot of upgrading in the arenas. We've done a lot of infrastructure, electrical, sewer, not so pretty things but we have to get those things done for you on your property. And we want to thank you for that. We do have an exciting fair going on this year. We have Casey here, of course, but we do have the sea lions coming this year. We have dinosaurs. We have the stingrays. We have Mare coming out to participate. We have, let's see what else. Lots of food vendors. Everybody seems to want to come to the Kern County Fair now. We're completely full with vendors and food vendors. and grounds entertainment. So it's incredible this year. We're hoping to have at least 400,000 people coming through the grounds, which is quite a bit, and we are looking forward to all of the services from the county, from Jeff Hill to Donna Youngblood, all of the people that have helped us through this year, especially Georgiana and Nick over at, when we almost went to a shelter for animals this year for the fire, the Burrell fire. So thank you again, and hope to see all of you at the fair. Please come out. We got a lot of exciting things for you.
Good to see you, Mike. Thank you. Mike, thank you for your work.
One more.
Thank you for your work, Mike, and pass along our thanks to your board as well. And Casey, would you like to say a few words? No? You never speak.
Next up, we have item number 2, which is proclamation for Paint the Town Pink Month in Kern County. And I believe I'm going to be joined by Jennifer Henry and her team. Come on down, grab her hand. Good morning. Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Good to see you.
Nice seeing you too.
Well, I will just read this real quick. This is a proclamation from the Kern County Board of Supervisors, County of Kern, State of California, officially proclaiming October 2024 as Paint the Town Pink Month in Kern County. And this has been entered into our official board minutes and signed by our Honorable Chairman, David Couch.
Great. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Appreciate it.
Morning.
Good morning. Welcome. I'm so excited to be here. Links for Life is 100% local Kern County. We started 32 years ago by 10 women who wanted to give back to our community. And we celebrate nearly 4 million survivors in the United States who have battled breast cancer, and we honor those we have lost to breast cancer. We invite you to join us on October 5th to kick off Breast Cancer Awareness Month and at the park at Riverwalk to do a walk with us. And we're at about 200 right now with no sponsors included, so we should be over 500 joining us on that day. Last year we provided 143 breast screenings, and we diagnosed 2 women with breast cancer who were able to access treatment because of what we do. We had 513 attend our support groups, and we have Grupo de Esperanza for our Spanish-speaking ladies. We have a support group for newly diagnosed. Our survivor group, because once you join the sisterhood, they seem to keep coming back because they love each other and take care of each other. And we have our Strong Links Hangout for husbands and partners. And that meets at Imbibe. It's not a support group, it's a hangout. So please join them if you have a survivor as a wife or partner. On the average, we have 80 who attend our support group, and 80 who are in our nutrition and grocery card program a month, and they receive up to 4 $100 grocery cards while in active treatment, meet with a registered dietitian, and come to us for additional services. And this year, Dignity Health has provided us a grant to bring in mobile mammography units. And we have 4 scheduled, we've had 1, and we have 3 more scheduled. But I would like to ask you to also help us bring in the mobile mammography unit because it's $6,500 every time we bring it in. And we don't have one here in town, and we do have pockets of our community who need to be screened. So I want to thank you. Please join us. In your little bag is the calendar of 19 events that are happening in Kern County by local supporters. And thank you for supporting Links for Life. Who I want to introduce are board members and staff, because there are only 3 staff that do all this. So Stana Bright, she's one of our founders and a lifetime member. And Maritza Jimenez, she is our past president. Charlotte Brandt, another survivor and a longtime supporter. I have Amisha Panu, she is our president right now. I have Heather McMahon, she is our development staff. And I have Liz Huerta, who is our patient advocate. And these ladies do everything we do in this community. So thank you for having us, and we look forward to seeing you at our events. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I want to ask you about the mobile unit.
Yes.
We don't have one in Kern County.
No, we don't.
No one has one.
No.
I'd like to talk to you about that later.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Bet.
so
we need
much.
pictures.
Absolutely.
So, would anybody like to be our photographers for
We got one right here.
Sorry. I want you guys to hurry up and get on with your agenda. Thank you.
Thank you guys for everything you do.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Take care. Lastly, we have item number 4, and that is recognizing September 2024 as National Suicide Prevention Month in Kern County. And I believe I'm going to be joined by Allison Burrows. Good morning, Allison. Well, I will let somebody that's eminently more qualified than myself up here to talk about this, but I'll just share this proclamation. It's from the Board of Supervisors of the County of Kern, State of California, and we have officially proclaimed September 2024 as National Suicide Prevention Month in Kern County. And this recognition has been entered into the official board minutes and signed by our Honorable Chairman, David Couch.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman, members of the board, for this proclamation recognizing Suicide Prevention Month. This is a time dedicated to raising awareness about this critical issue that affects so many lives here in Kern County and across the nation. It's a very complex issue, and there are many contributing factors. It can impact anyone, regardless of age, gender, or background. Some of the factors that can increase suicide risk include a history of mental illness, childhood trauma, or social isolation. But it's important also to remember that suicide is preventable, and by focusing on the protective factors, we can make a significant difference. Building effective coping skills, nurturing strong connections with the community, and loved ones are all critical components of prevention. This month, we're going to reflect on the lives lost and the struggles faced by so many, and we're also going to take the opportunity to renew our commitment to suicide prevention, encouraging the community to foster environments where people do feel connected and supported, and recognizing that together we can break the silence and stigma around mental health and build this network of care and understanding. I'm going to turn it over to Tanya Mann, our Crisis Services Administrator, who's going to share with you some of the important work that's happening in our community to support suicide prevention.
Good morning, Chairman Couch and members of the board. My name is Tanya Mann, and I serve as the Crisis Services Administrator for Kern Behavioral Health and Recovery Services. Today, we gather to proclaim September as Suicide Prevention Month in Kern County. This is an opportunity to educate our community about recognizing the signs of suicide and understanding the resources for those in need. However, this month holds profound significance, extending far beyond the act of raising awareness. This is a time to honor memories of loved ones lost to suicide, celebrating their lives and the impact they made, rather than focusing solely on how they left us. It is also an opportunity to acknowledge that preventing suicide is a global responsibility, one that requires the collective effort of each and every one of us. We often hear statistics on suicide deaths from a national, state, and local level. However, today I'd like to share some numbers of hope, each representing an interaction that had the potential to save a life. Last year, Kern Behavioral Health and Recovery Services Crisis Hotline answered 43,000 calls. More than 30,000 individuals received suicide prevention and education through a Kern BHRS outreach and education event. In partnership with local law enforcement, our mobile evaluation team responded to 9,600 calls. We admitted over 8,000 individuals to one of our crisis stabilization units to receive an acute evaluation. Over 5,000 people received care at our crisis walk-in clinic, and more than 2,500 individuals were admitted to a local inpatient psychiatric facility for higher level of care. We also connected 675 individuals not yet engaged in treatment to ongoing outpatient services. In total, these numbers reflect nearly 100,000 interactions. That is 100,000 opportunities to save a life. These services have been provided by Kern Behavioral Health and Recovery Services and our community partners, who I'd like to invite to stand in recognition of our efforts. We brought a bunch today. While September shines a spotlight on this critical issue, our combined commitment to suicide prevention, education, and awareness must extend throughout the year. It is a daily commitment to be a beacon of hope for those who are struggling and provide support to those who feel they have none. Throughout September and beyond, Kern Behavioral Health and our partners are unwavering in our pledge to raise awareness and implement effective strategies to combat this crisis. Initiatives like Zero Suicide and resources such as the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline 988 are making a difference in our community. To honor suicide prevention, Kern BHRS has planned several events throughout the month, one of which I will highlight now. On September 11th, tomorrow, Kern BHRS is partnering with California State University Bakersfield for our second annual Kickin' It with Behavioral Health event. This event will take place at the CSUB soccer fields at 7 p.m. and Kern BHRS is sponsoring free admission. Walk-up tickets are available, or individuals can go to gorunners.com/Kern BHRS. As we remember those lives we have lost and support those who continue to face their struggles, let us come together to create a future where every life is valued, every challenge is met with compassion, and every person knows that there is hope and help available. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a difficult job you guys do. Thank you for what you do. Items 3 and 5 will be presented by Supervisor Flores. Item 3 proclaims September 2024 as Hunger Action Month in Kern County, and item 5 proclaims September 24 as Library Card Sign-Up Month in Kern County.
I'll make a motion on both of those.
Second.
Discuss your votes.
The motion is approved, 3 ayes, 1 absent. Supervisor Perez.
If the administration from CAPK would come join me, thank you.
And while Supervisor Flores, while you're going down there, I was remiss this morning. I probably should have done this right at the start of the meeting. I want to reintroduce everyone to our new CAO, Nancy Anderson, who is right over here to my left. This is her first meeting with us, second day on the job. She spent, well, you can tell them, Nancy, you spent many years with the county, some in the CAO's office, some in the Audit Controller's office, and you are now back with us in the position of CAO.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Couch. So 24 years with Kern County and 4.5 with County of Santa Barbara, and very happy to be back today. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
You're here for 2. Maritza, you're popular. Hey, good morning, everybody. On behalf of the Board of Supervisors, it's an honor to have my fellow administration here from CAPK. I sit on the CAPK board, and this organization is tasked with valuable work of helping others in our community. They have so many programs that touch the lives of everybody, be it education, food insecurity, poverty reduction. This group does it all, and I'm so happy to be here. Today, we're declaring from the Board of Supervisors as September as Hunger Action Month in Kern County. And this is to raise awareness about the critical issue of food insecurity in our community and to encourage collective action to address it. And the irony is that here in the breadbasket of the world, where we produce the best nutrition, best crops, you name it, yet we're still plagued with food insecurity. So it's an irony, and it's an irony that we're going to address and overcome. This organization has, I think, 200 points of distribution. They serve over 100,000 people. And I remember when I was on the board of the Hope Center in Oildale, we depended on the CAPK food system to get food to needy residents, and you're to be commended. So at this time, on behalf of our board, again, we're proclaiming September 2024 as Hunger Action Month in Kern County. This is signed by our chairman, David Couch, dated this day, September 10th, and I'll have Jeremy Tobias, the executive director, talk about some of the important events this month to highlight the month. Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and fellow board members. I'm Jeremy Tobias, CEO of Community Action Partnership of Kern. And as Supervisor Flores mentioned, we provide an awful lot of programs here in Kern County. One of the most important programs we provide is food, making sure people have adequate food. And we're proud to be here today to celebrate or to bring awareness to Hunger Action Month here in Kern County. And a couple of statistics, our services have increased dramatically over the years. Just in the past year alone, the number of engagements we have with individuals in the community has gone up from about 100,000 a month to 200,000 monthly touch points with individuals. We provide about 1.8 million pounds of food monthly throughout Kern County. And Kern County, as you know, is a very large county, over 8,000 square miles, larger than some states. The only way we can get that done is through partnerships. That's the only way we can serve a county of this size, pushing out nearly 2 million pounds of food, is our partnerships. We have hundreds of partnerships in the community with our pantry sites, local churches, and community groups that help us get that food out, and we certainly want to celebrate them. Especially want to highlight the partnership we have with the county, whether it's service agreements or partnerships in time of crisis, such as the Shirley Lane emergency we witnessed with the water. We really embrace that partnership. Another example was just up here, the Kern County Fair. We have a wonderful partnership with the Kern County Fair. We'll talk about that in a moment, but our Hunger Action Month culminates with the Feed the Need food drive at the Kern County Fair. I think one thing that's important to point out to the board and to the community is that the typical clients we serve. A lot of people in the community think we're out there serving the individual standing on the street corner with a sign or something. And we do, and that's important. But our typical client is the working poor. Most of our clients are those individuals that are working very low wage jobs, sometimes multiple jobs, and their entire paycheck goes to rent and utilities. And it's tough to make ends meet. The table, the refrigerator is empty, and we're there to fill that gap. And these are the jobs that our society relies on. Someone's got to do them, and they get them done, and it's just tough for them to make ends meet. And that's really who we're serving in this county, is the blue-collar working poor. I'd like to thank you for your time today, and with that, I'd like to introduce some staff and some board members we have with us. We have Kelly Lowry, our food bank administrator, with us today. Susanna Magana, Director of Health and Nutrition. Savannah Oates, our outreach manager, is here today. And then we have a couple of board members. Maritza Jimenez from Kern Health Systems, you just saw her up here. And you might know Supervisor Jeff Flores, who also serves on our board, our 15-member board. So big shout out to our board members and staff. And with that, I'll turn it over to Kelly real quick.
Good morning, Supervisors. Kelly Lowry, Food Bank Administrator for CAPK, and CEO Jeremy Tobias just encapsulated really the work that we do on a daily basis. But the one thing that I wanted to just highlight is that it happens through partnership, and we have an audacious goal to be the first county in America to end food insecurity, and I believe that we can do it. And it doesn't happen without great strategic partners like the county, and so I appreciate that. To help us raise awareness around Hunger Action Month and enlist more partners in that work, we've brought you some things over there left with the clerk so that you can help us just to continue to raise awareness. So thank you very much.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board, and staff. Just wanted to come up and offer you guys opportunities to get involved this month. So as Jeremy alluded to, we will be having Feed the Need at the fair. We did bring some flyers for you September 24th from 4 to 9 p.m. Any individual that comes to the community could bring 6 cans in and get in for free that night. Tonight, we did partner with General Services. We will be illuminating the CAO's office orange. So if you'd like to come out and join us for that. And please just share on your socials and just spread the word. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here today.
Brings us to our final proclamation. If the library staff of Shaylin Pineda and Fahra Duridia, would you please join me? And more, come on in. The more the better. So this is a proclamation to proclaim September as Library Card Sign-Up Month in Kern County. And the national campaign began in 1987 to emphasize the importance of library cards to a child's education and to combat illiteracy. And I can think of no worthy cause than our local libraries to help with our educational attainment, to be a place of refuge and learning, lifelong learning, and to help with our careers and everything related to education. So whether you're upgrading your skills, scouting for knowledge and information, or connecting with others, a library card is your key to an arsenal of resources. So at this time, I'd like to have the library staff come up and accept this. This is a proclamation dated this date by our chairman, David Couch, as Library Card Sign-Up Month in Kern County, and this recognition has been entered in the official board minutes. Congratulations.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board, and this month we are celebrating Library Card Sign-Up Month. And I remember very clearly when I was 5 years old, my grandpa took me to the library to get my very first library card. And I was just so proud of having my very own library card, and I immediately made use of it and tore through that children's area and just read so many exciting new worlds and characters. So I invite the whole community to come get yourself a library card and see what the library can do for you. It's more than just books. With a library card, you can also access ebooks, digital resources, like even some movies and TV shows, online resources. You can learn languages. There's so much great things. And so I'd like to introduce Farah Duradia, who is representing the whole entire marketing team, who has been working hard on some new and exciting library card designs.
Good morning, Chairman Couch and members of the board. My name is Farah Duradia, and I'm the Marketing and Promotions Associate for Kern County Library, and we are so excited to celebrate National Library Card Sign-Up Month here at the Kern County Libraries. Our libraries are so much more than just a place to check out books. They're truly community hubs where people of all ages come to learn, grow, and connect. Whether you're looking for books, ebooks, audiobooks, literacy programs, a place to work and study, your library card and your local library open the door to a world of possibilities. This year, we're thrilled to unveil 7 new library card designs, right here. Each one capturing the essence of Kern County, from our rugged mountain to our scenic landscapes that bind us together. These designs symbolize both growth and resilience, and they reflect the strength and beauty of our community that we serve. Andy's personal favorite one is the cowboy one, which reminds me that Western romance is super trending right now, in case anybody needs a reading recommendation. Last year alone, Kern County Library issued over 28,000 new library cards and checked out more than 1 million items. These numbers show that our libraries have an incredible impact on the community. So if you already don't have a library card or just want to replace yours with one of our new fantastic designs, now is the perfect time to come to the library and join thousands of Kern County residents who are already unlocking the power of our libraries. Whether you're young or young at heart, your library is your ticket to endless learning and discovery. Thank you. I also brought calendars and your very own designs in here so you guys can take a closer look.
Thank you. Supervisor Peters would like to comment.
I just wanted to say, I remember when I got my first library card, that bright yellow one that I had forever, and this is a good change. I'll have to come in and get one with a cowboy on it.
Still have the yellow one, though.
Thank you. That concludes the resolutions and proclamations portion. That takes us down to item 8, which is public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons to address the board on any matter that is not on the agenda but under the jurisdiction of the board. We try to keep our comments to 2 minutes. Mr. McLean, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Chairman Couch and Supervisors. Concerned citizens are bringing to your attention the misuse of weaponized terms in regards to citizens engaging in free speech communications in regards to concerns with elections and requiring redress from local authority grievances. The First Amendment provides that Congress make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting its free exercise. It protects freedom of speech, the press, assembly, and the right to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Amy Espinosa's public information officer, Adam Clark, presented state and county portals and messaging on reporting conspiracies, discrepancies, and fears. We clearly refute the implication that any of our presentations are grounded or purporting anything other than official reporting laws, seeking transparency and clarifying information from our election department, and seeking redress for corrections when needed. The following terms are meant to malign free speech and, for any legal threshold, harm entities with standing would have to be proven beyond reasonable doubt. There are no laws against free speech nor citizens requesting redress just because someone doesn't agree with how it informs others. These terms are meant to limit and threaten speech. It is offensive police state tactics to instill fear and limit speech that is merely seeking accountability from elected officials. Misinformation. False but not created or shared with intention to causing harm. Disinformation, false and deliberately creating to mislead, harm, manipulate a person, group, organization, or country. Malinformation, based on fact but used out of context to mislead, harm, or manipulate. Concerned citizens ask that election officials detest in messaging concerned citizens' presentations with negative labeling. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Kathy,
Good morning. My name is Russell Person.
Russell, did you want to, Mr. Person, rather, did you want to give that to the clerk?
They're going to do it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Concerned citizens would like you to formally consider rescinding Ordinance G 6050, 1994, before the next election cycle of 2026. This ordinance is responsible for consolidation of 3 separate official functions: clear auditor, controller, county clerk, and registrar of voters. We assume the elections department staff are making their best efforts under current increased demand to secure fair and free elections. The first concern is citizens do not have a bias-free auditor, and self-auditing in elections in both departments are led by the same official. Concern 2, the elections environment, codes, physical and logistical equipment, personnel duties, technological hardware and software systems, financial contractual agreements, and security have greatly increased since 1994. Concern 3, we experience continual inadequacies in reporting election results. Kern near the last to certify. Slow, non-existent communications, in-person, email, phone requests, unavailable materials, maps to candidates, inaccurate information from staff, too numerous to cite, lack of compliance to the NVRA, and a lack of updated data to citizens, website, and CPRAs. We are specifically concerned with addition of technologies that remove human oversight, control of data as in poll book failures, unaccounted and missing registration fluctuations from old software, lack of inactive registration removals, past warnings of pending litigation, not maintaining accurate voter rolls that are missing qualifying information. Lack of staff retention indicates that there is not enough dedicated staff attention and balance of duties to maintaining continuous data control. Should the Board of Supervisors consider amending or repealing the regulation, we would expect public hearings in consideration of possible alternatives. to address the identified situation of an overwhelmed elections department via other means and/or the restoration of separate departments and officials. In these hearings, the Board of Supervisors should have all interested parties present and aboard. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kraus, we have more info.
Morning, Board.
Morning.
Concerned citizens continue to look to county officials for answers.
Sorry to interrupt you, but could you give us your name, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Pamela Reese, R-E-E-C-E.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Concerned citizens continue to look to county officials for answers regarding the Kern County, March 19th, 2024 election poll book failure. Code number 20158, system requirements state that the electronic poll book shall not be connected to a voting system at any time. Section G states, the electronic poll book shall provide reliable transmission of voter registration and election information. Section L says, the electronic poll book shall permit voter activity to be accurately uploaded into the county's voter registration election management system. In real time, poll books have a direct effect on the election system management. There are inadequate controls over verification of the voter with vote-by-mail ballots in comparison to previous times when the voter would sign into a local precinct with identification, vote with a printed paper registration, have their identification verified at check-in, and then be handed a paper ballot. Vote-by-mail ballots have been found at wrong addresses, undelivered mail bags, ditches, trash cans, etc. The vote-by-mail system has no accountability as to where the ballots are and who has access to them. Example, a voter can come to a precinct and be told they have already voted according to the electronic poll book and be forced to vote provisionally. The real registered voter with his or her real ballot vote are likely to not be counted, as there is no way to retrieve the first erroneous ballot that has already been separated from its envelope and has erroneously, unlawfully passed a faulty signature verification. First in is first counted, they say. The citizen could file an identity theft, but without the means to prove it or find the party who committed the crime. End result, the registered voter has been successfully disenfranchised from casting their own vote, therefore increasing public distrust of our election systems.
Thank you, Ms. Reese.
Thank you.
Good morning, Board.
Morning.
Ron Barger. We had a poll book system failure on March 19th, 2024 election, which affected very large portions of our county, assigning voters to far-afield precincts in which they did not live in, and ultimately shut down precinct voting in affected areas for a half day. Code 20158, System Requirements. The electronic poll book shall produce a list of audit records that reflect all actions of the system, including in process audit records that should be able to be exported in non-proprietary human readable form. Concerned citizens request that Kern County election officials report on A, the cause of this failure, and B, provide the preparedness plan in place for the future failure in poll book usage. Code 20162, Emergency Operations, Preparedness Plan. Any jurisdiction utilizing electronic poll books in any election shall create and have a file on emergency preparedness plan that outlines the processes and procedures to be followed by the county officials and poll workers in the event of a failure of any of the electronic poll books. Concerned citizens request that paper registration poll books be used at precincts in lieu of or in addition to electronic poll books connected to the internet services, as they are obligated to keep continuous control over data to protect the vote and citizen voter from vulnerability and voting access. Please note, Orange County officials, Registrar of Voters, Board of Supervisors, Secretary of State are currently facing a lawsuit because of the internet connectivity and corruptibility in use of the poll books at the vote centers. This new vulnerability to safe and free elections is due to moving away from designated precinct voting, fair, open, observable processing of an election by citizens with reliable physical records. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Berger.
Good morning, board members.
Good morning, Mr.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. My name is Charles Shin. I am a retired Marine and I'm a concerned citizen. We bring to your attention to maintenance of the voter rolls and continual need for attention. We have analyzed the most recent voter roll data after the last update of inactive registration removals of 34,617, and we have found some interesting findings. We still see 199 voters with the exact same birth date of January 1st of 1900. We're told that this date was chosen as they moved from paper archives to digital recordings. Why have these voters never been updated or even verified to be alive? Potential removal from the voter roll verification is necessary. The oldest living American is Mr. Yoshiko Miyawa, who's 110 years old, in Torrance, California. According to the 2024 California State Public Health, Kern County life expectancy is just 77 years old. We have analyzed the 2020 and 2024 registration and found a total of 1,544 that are 90 years and older. Registrations need updating. Potential removal from the voter roll verification is necessary. A total of 348 registrations with unknown birthplaces. Potential removal from the voter roll verification is necessary. Also found a total of 9,277 registered voters who voted 90 years and older. Potential removal from the voter rolls verification is necessary. Concerned citizens request that a total of 11,169 voter registrations be verified and any necessary removals made prior to November 5 of 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shinn.
My name is Glenn Clayton, C-L-A-Y-T-O-N. Good morning, Board, Chairman Couch. We would like to bring to your attention to a continued vulnerability to free and fair elections in Kern County. America First Legal has issued a remedy letter to all 50 Secretary of States for being out of compliance to existing federal law preventing foreign nationals from registering to vote. People in Kern County are registering to vote in various ways through the DMV, health insurance, government assistance programs, and more. Non-citizens are inadvertently registering to vote as well, as our election office has a duty to verify citizen status in voter registration to protect the upcoming election from citizens returning vote by mail ballots. Federal law prohibits foreign nationals from voting or registering to vote in federal elections, yet anyone can register to vote using the Election Assistance Commission federal form without providing documentary proof of citizenship. Federal law also imposes upon states an obligation to conduct voter list maintenance. The U.S. Election Assistance Commission, EAC, created a federal voter registration form that does not require applicants to demonstrate proof of citizenship. Instead, it merely requires voter registrants to sign a form under penalty of perjury, swearing or affirming I am a United States citizen. The Supreme Court of the United States previously held that because of the National Voter Registration Act requires that the states must accept and use EAC form which does not require documentary proof of citizenship, then the NVRA forbids states to demand that applicants submit additional information beyond that required by the federal form. The result is that, under current law as interpreted by the Supreme Court, anyone can register to vote using the EAC federal form without providing documentary proof of citizenship. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Board. I'm bringing you this morning the solution for Kern County. Jeff Sanders. 2 federal statutes have been on the books for nearly 3 decades, allowing states to obtain information about citizenship or immigration status of an individual for lawful purposes. Chapter 8, USC, subsection 1373C, obligation to respond to inquiries. You have all this in your packet up there. Also, Section 8, USC, subsection 1644. Each of these statutes clearly makes the state's localities and submit the request to obtain citizenship or immigration status of any individual for the purpose of authorized by law. And further, not only can the request be for information, but the DHS shall respond to such a request and cannot prohibit or restrict the receiving of this information. Kern County should submit request information to the Department of Homeland Security about the individual's citizenship or immigration status for a lawful purpose. Any inquiry where you have a reason to believe that individuals who registered to vote may not be United States citizens. American First Legal has issued a compliance letter on July 17, 2024. Each state's secretary and state request compliance in maintaining citizens-only voter rolls and the continuous maintenance of removal and of non-citizens from the voter rolls. This letter from the American First Legal is a directive for compliance to our prior to a potential litigation similar to the Judicial Watch letter prior to their suing the state of California and Kern County. Concerned citizens request the elections of the office be proactive, continually verifying that removing non-citizens from the county rolls and avoiding potential litigation. There's an update here.
I'm sorry. We're trying to keep our comments to 2 minutes, Mr. Sanders.
Just every non-citizen that votes disenfranchises somebody.
Is that in our packet that we've been given?
Yes.
Thank you. Morning, Mr. Robles.
Good morning. Ralph Robles, R-O-B-L-E-S, and I am a veteran. Today we would like to address the presentation by Amy Espinoza concerning the lack of security cameras over our 19, soon-to-be 20 voting drop boxes in Kern County. The Elections Office approved spending over $30,000 on cameras to monitor drop boxes as security against crime. After they were purchased and installed, Ms. Espinoza admitted that when she ordered the cameras, she did not ensure recording capacity. Amy promised the Board of Supervisors that live streaming would be available online at the beginning of this year. Now the live streaming has only been made available when citizens arrive to observe during office hours. They are now off, not monitoring the elections by officials, and often delaying viewing while awaiting turning them on. Amy said she would work with the Information Technology Department to capture the feed coming in to the Elections Department. As of August 2024, she is now reporting that recording the drop boxes in live stream feed would cost $600,000. And she has decided not to follow through when using security cameras in future elections. Concerned citizens request documentation for the detailing of a breakdown of the expense. The boxes are located in highly visible public locations. If citizens are not afforded an observable feed in live stream, they can go to the drop box locations to observe at a reasonable distance. 20 boxes, 3 shifts for 30 hours, 30 days. Secure elections means election process is monitored to observe election interference. Our request, again, is for the documentation for the breakdown of the expense for the recording and live streaming of the cameras, to include but not limited by requests for information and requests for offers from vendors.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. Good morning, board members, Chairman Couch. My name is Andy Hensel, Hensel. An issue of the privacy of the voter was raised, but we would like to point out that only the privacy of the vote is protected. Voters are clearly participating in public view throughout the county in public spaces while voting, and they are often under various county camera surveillances while coming and going. Our county Dropbox cameras were meant to bring security and have completely failed their purpose and are now being abandoned as a means of security for fair and free elections. The election code 20135E reads, if feasible, drop boxes shall be monitored by a video security surveillance system or an internal camera that can capture digital images and or video. Clearly, our Kern County election drop box cameras are not capturing anything. The intended prevention of crime, capturing of evidence, assurance to voters of protected vote casting is the whole purpose of the installed cameras. Concerned citizens have been asking for this error to find remedy for the past 3 elections, and we would like again to request the Board of Supervisors for the redress and inquiry, both with the Elections Department and the IT Department, as to remedy and installation of recording cameras that focus use on capturing user images with digitally captured 24/7 live streaming and is monitored by election employees and is viewable live stream for citizens during periods of ballot collections. Again, please request the breakdown of the $600,000 quote shared by Amy Espinoza. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other public presentations today? Good morning.
Good morning, Board, Mr. Chair. In the spirit of previous recommendations offered to this board on watching videos about election integrity, I would like to suggest an addition to your watch list with the understanding that I'm not requiring this of any of you for homework purposes. On PBS.com, you will find a video entitled Counting the Vote, a firing line special with Margaret Hoover, who is a well-known conservative Republican. During the hour-long program, she examines methods to increase voter confidence and sheds light on states that face challenges in their vote count processes in our upcoming elections this November. She uncovers why we vote the way we do and what practices can genuinely help to restore trust in how we cast our ballots. It covers the 2000 election, famous for its hanging chads, the 2020 elections, and how some inefficient methods may have helped spur the conspiracy theories spread by election deniers, and what's ahead for this year, asking whether American democracy as we know it can prevail when the most powerful tool of our democracy, voting, is thrown into question. Also, since it was brought up again today, there seems to be some understanding that those vote boxes by the cameras are supposed to go over the internet. Wouldn't that mean that anyone around the entire world would have access to what we do in this country? That raises some concerns to me. Anyway, thank you.
I'm sorry, before you leave, I don't think you gave us your name at the very start.
Oh, my apologies. Paul Infesti, Paulinfesty.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Janine, Jeanine, last name Adams, Adams, Tehachapi. Chairman Couch and Board, I just would like to push back a little bit on this issue of looking at voters from an age range that is unreasonable. Yes, I would agree that if there are voters that are 130 years old, there probably is some kind of mistake, okay? But simply because the average age is whatever, I think 74 was quoted, I don't think that's correct, but let's just use that as an example. An average is a combination of things that are much higher and much lower. In fact, in our small Democratic club that I handle the membership, I am required to get the ages of everyone who participates. We, in a club of 150 people, we have at least 2 people, and maybe more, that are over the age 90. One is 95, one is 97, okay? So I would just like to say that bringing this issue up about using averages and what is reasonable is just not appropriate and not the way that we should be dividing our ballots up to determine whether someone is legitimate or not legitimate. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. Any other public presentations today? Good morning.
My name is John Hickman, and that's spelled Jon-Hickman. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Supervisors. My name is John, and I'm a social work intern and substance abuse counselor with Cornerstone. I'm here today as a reminder of the ongoing situation in Eastern Kern County. I was truly inspired by the response from supervisors during the last meeting and the advice you offered. While we know we must operate within the system, that doesn't mean we can ignore the inadequacies affecting specific populations. This is a matter of social justice, something I stand for every day. Eastern Kern County continues to be underserved, with only one provider holding the sole contract in Tehachapi. Less than a handful of facilities exist in Eastern Kern compared to the many in Western Kern. Despite following every step laid out, we are still struggling with basic billing issues, lack of training, and payment for services we've already provided. One contracted provider is simply not enough to serve our community. This lack of options limits clients' autonomy and reduces the quality of care. The letter submitted to the board outlines the details I do not have the time to cover during public comment. If there are any questions on it, please follow up with us, and we would be happy to sit down and figure this out. I urge the board to make immediate action by allowing Cornerstone to operate under master agreement or approve single case agreements for our Medi-Cal clients until a new RFP can take place. Additionally, please consider back pay for services we're provided when no other provider was available. I understand that things move slowly and it takes time. I have time. The people struggling to get clean and sober do not. They are fighting for their lives. What can I do to help speed up this process? I'm not here to be adversarial. We want to be a part of the change in our community. So please let us bring hope and healing to Eastern Kern. There was multiple questions posed by the board to Kern BHRS or the council. Has there been any updates? Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Hickman.
Chairman, could I jump in
Appreciate you
there?
coming down. Sure.
Thank you. Was it Josh?
John.
John, I'm sorry. There's a gentleman right there in the second row named Cody. Cody, if you could raise your hand. But if you would speak with him and just give him a little bit more information, and he could talk to you a little bit about it, and then maybe we can connect and see if there's anything we can do to help out.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other public presentations this morning? I thought I saw somebody else moving down here a moment ago. No? Did I see Ms. Espinoza come in the back? I can't see that far anyway. I was just gonna, I'm simply asking if she's here because I wanted to give her the opportunity to respond to any of the public comments that were made earlier. But I don't see her. Okay. All right, then we'll close item 8. If she happens to show up before we get into the agenda item, the only other agenda item after board member announcements and reports, I'll ask her to if she would like to come forward. That takes us to item 9, which is board member announcements and reports.
Just echo the welcome, your welcoming earlier, Nancy. Looking forward to working with you, our new CAO, and we're in very good hands, so thank you.
Yeah, same here. Definitely looking forward to working with you. And also, I wanted to shout out to Elsa Martinez back there for stepping up and being our interim CAO in the meantime as well. So thank both of you.
I agree. I'll just echo those comments, but I also want to announce that, or I would like to ask that we adjourn the meeting today in memory of Moises Martinez, who was a sergeant, recently passed away, sergeant in the Shafter Police Department. If we could, I'll try to get you the contact information for the family that we could send a letter like we normally do. Okay, thank you. That takes us over to item 34, I believe, which is the item is a proposed selection of Allied Universal, Inc. as a successful vendor in response to a request for proposals, RFP, for private security services in consideration of a protest by Transwest Securities, Inc. And I'll turn it over to Ms. Martinez. Before I do that, I think I need to turn it over to Supervisor Flores.
Sure.
I think you have a comment that you would like to put on the record first.
Yeah,
right?
I do have a statement for the record. I was not present at the August 6th board meeting when the agenda item was initially presented. However, I have watched the recording of the August 6th meeting and have reviewed all the materials related to this matter, including the documents from county staff and everything submitted by Transwest during the public hearing on August 6th, and I am prepared to participate in today's proceedings.
Okay, thank you. So I'll turn that over to, is it to Elsa or to, okay, Ms. Martinez.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. On August 6th, your board continued the request of the County Administrative Office to approve the proposed selection of Allied Universal for the provision of security guard services. Your board during the August 6th meeting heard representatives of Transwest and Allied Universal, as well as several members of the public. Today, I would like to provide your board with a recap of the facts and a recommendation based on the clarification provided by Transwest representatives at the last meeting. So as I mentioned during the last meeting, the County Administrative Office issued a request for proposal, or RFP for short, for security services January 8, 2024, which is one of the multiple methods depending on the services and value used by the county to secure services through an open and transparent and competitive procurement process. The RFP document clearly identified that the selection could be for one or multiple companies capable of providing private security services for a variety of county departments. This means that the county can enter into multiple agreements in which individual departments could select a vendor. The RFP was issued under County Policy Section 511. All vendors responded to an RFP, not a bid. This was acknowledged by their signature in the certification provided with their proposal. Prior to the notification of award or not award, no clarifying questions or concerns were asked of the county administrative staff regarding the issuance of an RFP under Policy 511. So the RFP that we issued was an RFP for professional services, and we defined those in our policy as technical or unique functions performed by independent contractors or consultants who specialize in the services required. An RFP may also be used for any service needed by the department that would benefit the use of an evaluation criteria. So vendors do not have the authority to make determination of what constitutes professional services and when a best value bid or an RFP should be used or is appropriate. Your board has full discretion in procurement of any specialized services under government code. So why do we go through this process? First of all, we are required to go through a competitive process when state and federal funds are included. And just for clarification, the majority of the services for security guards are provided at departments that are either 100% funded by state and federal funds, or at least the majority of their funding comes from federal funding. So why do we go through this? First, it is the county policy. Second, the availability of provided changes over time, and the current agreement has been in place since 2009. The competitive process also allows the county to compare different service providers and choose one that offers the highest quality. It also ensures that we are getting competitive pricing and the best value for the money. It reduces the risks of becoming complacent with the level of service and allows for potential innovation, which can lead to better service. And finally, it can help the county negotiate better terms and conditions with the service provider. During the last meeting, Transwest asked your board to deny staff recommendation for the selection of Allied and instead select Transwest based on the assertion that they are the low bidder and truly local vendor, and that they have performed services for over 35 years, and that they can continue to provide services. So let's talk about local vendor preference. The local vendor preference was applied using the existing ordinance. There is no definition of truly local vendor. Each of the 12 proposals received were evaluated for local preference. 6 of the 12 vendors received the local vendor preference based on the existing ordinance, and Servexo and Transwest received additional consideration under the local vendor ordinance for having a local employee ratio of 50% or higher. So there's no additional definitions, and I know your board is interested in reviewing our ordinance, and we will be happy to do so prospectively. So during the interview, each of the top 3 vendors were selected for an interview and were given the opportunity to answer the same questions during the interview process. One of the items that I think is important that I mentioned during the last part, Transwest included language that made it sound like their price was not firm. But their representative in their last meeting stated that their price is firm and it will not change. In addition, in fact, Transwest presented a cost comparison with Allied to show that their price is firm and lower. Here's a summary of the calculation provided by Transwest, showing a potential cost of $8.4 million annually. The only additional item that I included on this slide, I added a summary of the estimated annual vehicle cost. Transwest proposals, similar to the other vendors, includes a vehicle charge. They also provided a comparison for Allied Universal with an estimated cost of $8.7 million annually. And then staff took the time to also include the third top vendor for Cervexo, and we prepared their summary for comparison, and their proposal has an estimated cost of $8.4 million, similar to Transwest. I think there was discussion about vehicle costs and how Ally has a higher cost. So what we did is we took the proposals and reviewed the vehicle costs. And for Transwest, we're listing their costs, $20 per call, $85 they charge for a vehicle up to 100 miles, but that's inclusive of gas. And then we took the monthly fee of Ally and converted it to a daily fee for comparison purposes. And the rate is lower, but it doesn't include fuel. We did the same thing for Ally, just to ensure that we were comparing apples to apples. So taking the estimates that Transwest provided, we're looking at the three vendors. And when comparing the top three vendors, the estimated cost ranges from 8.4 for two of the vendors to 8.7 or 4.1 higher for Ally. So it is important to know, as I provide a revised recommendation for your board, that the county currently uses three vendors. This is a very small printout of our financial system, but it clearly shows that we have three vendors of which departments can choose from. And in fact, Employer Training Resources uses two vendors at the same time. They use R. Stanley and Transwest. Our recorder uses Cervexo, and the majority of our departments uses Transwest, but they have the ability to choose between the three vendors. So as I mentioned in the last board meeting, Transwest has been a good partner when it comes to service in our Bass County. Based on the representation of Transwest representative that their cost is firm, and the fact that the RFP clearly stated that your board has the option of selecting one or multiple vendors, staff is recommending that your board approve the selection of the top three vendors, Ally, Cervexo, and Transwest. Similar to the existing arrangements that we have with three vendors, departments will have the opportunity to select any of the vendors based on their needs. Your approval today will authorize my office, or Ms. Lawson's office now, to enter into a contract negotiation with all three vendors, and departments will be able to choose from those three vendors based on their needs. This concludes my prepared remarks, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions by board members before we open it up for public comment?
Not yet.
Okay, seeing none, is there anyone here that would like to make any comment about this item? Morning.
Mr. Chairman, just a moment. Madam Clerk, can we start with staff's PowerPoint? What we just saw. As the PowerPoint is loading, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Dustin Dodge, and I, along with my colleague, Attorney Haley Lawson, represent Transwest Security Services, Inc. Supervisor Flores, thank you for taking the time to review all the presentations, comments from staff, discussion from the board, and being prepared for today. Sure. We went through this issue at length, and I'm more than happy to revisit and questions from the board the issues of the irregularities in the RFP process, the essentially incumbent penalty, where the bulk of points are in categories that score transition. And we actually saw that the way those points were weighted and used, and the comments and justifications all undermined the incumbent. I can answer any questions about that. I can answer questions about the misapplications of the local vendor ordinance, the lack of application whatsoever to the quote-unquote final interview scores, the lack of application to the local vendor preference for that purpose. I can go through all that. But essentially, what we're talking about is truly a low-cost vendor. And I'm going to restate that it's by over $2.5 million. I'll make sure we have corrections, and that's why I've got staff slides up. We have the low-cost vendor, truly local. And importantly, you have a reliable vendor. We're not here in the RFP process because there were performance issues. As it was mentioned in the last meeting, Jim Zervis wanted to test the market, and the market's been tested. You have a low-cost vendor by over $2.5 million. I think it's important to, I do want to come back to the multi-vendor concept. I'm not quite sure how it was that staff was 100% confident in recommending one vendor last meeting, and then suddenly today, that's 3. But I think they had it right the first time. In fact, I know they did. But where we kind of got lost here is we start out with, they're giving you Transwest proposal annual costs. You were told that the annual vehicle estimate was added. There is no extra. That $150,000 and change is not what we charge the county now. You can check your invoices. Our vehicle costs are baked into mileage. There's no hidden costs, there's no secret fees. I'll skip forward to the slide that you were presented on the left. It shows all the add-on costs. Those are all a la carte. Never asked for them, never got them. We don't plan on providing them in the future. Everything is baked in. So already we start out with an error. $155,000 added on to Transwest cost that shouldn't be there. Now we see Allied's proposal. Now, the first thing I did is I looked at $32,761, and I got on my iPhone, and I multiplied that on my calculator by 3902. And my number was nearly 1.3 million. That's just bad math. Then Cervexo, we have an annual vehicle estimate with an asterisk. Now, the number is $72,000. It's an estimate. I looked through what was provided to my office in response to a public records request, and I didn't see in their Cervexo bid any discussion of mileage cost or how they would charge for vehicles. I don't know where it came from, but it's really odd that this estimate is less than half of Allied's vehicle estimate, less than half of Transwest. So if we're going to apples, these quote-unquote estimates, wouldn't it be about $150,000? Probably. That gets important. Oh, and I didn't see any of these either on these add-on costs for Cervexo. I don't know where those came from. They were not in the documents provided in my office. But look, I know there's a lot of numbers up there, but let's go to the bottom right corner. Supposedly, Cervexo is the low bidder by $21,000. But we just talked about the fact that we forgot to include over $70,000 if we're really talking about a true vehicle estimate. And then there's another $150,000 that was lumped into Transwest costs that frankly just aren't even there. Errors, lots of them. Bottom line is we are the low-cost vendor. And when you look at the difference in pricing, I don't know that Cervexo, based upon what we discussed last time, I'd be happy to answer questions about it, based upon the interview response that they did not have the staffing for this contract. Really, we're really talking about Transwest or Allied. And Transwest, let's ignore the behavioral health cost error where it says 982 there, but if you use the rate, it would be 1.3. Let's ignore that. Let's just take out the $150,000 that was lumped into Transwest cost.
Can we go to that error for a second?
Sure.
Because I just did the math too, and I came up with
1.278 million?
no.
3.39.
Well, maybe the slide changed as I was.
Well, I picked my slide up from the back corner. I was given this whole presentation about, I don't know, minutes before 9 a.m. this morning, and I picked it up right in the back corner.
Supervisor Couch, if I may.
Yep.
We did not do the math. This was the spreadsheet provided by Transwest, so I wanted to use their numbers that they provided at the last meeting. So I want to make clear that we did not do the math. We actually used their spreadsheet that they provided to the county at the last meeting. The only change we made was we added the line for the vehicles. So if there are errors, I apologize, but because I did not, calculated their numbers, I wanted to use their own comparison.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to correct that statement in just a minute, but first I'm going to start.
Okay. I don't know what to do with that at this point.
Okay. Again, I'm looking at their slide, 3902. And any member of the audience can go back to the desk and pick up the same slides that I was given, 39.02.
I have it.
Times 32,761.
I'm sorry. You're right. I get 1.278 and change. Is that the same number you get?
It's the same number I get on that calculation, and I'll represent to you, Mr. Chairman, that that's not the calculation that we made in our slides. And frankly, we had a different rate, because I used what was given to me in response to my records request, and it was Allied's bid, and we had a different rate. We came out at a different number than 1.278 million, but I'm ignoring that for now. I'm just assuming that it's $982,830. And so when you add about $150,000 that was improperly added onto Transwest, and you look at the cost increase of $346,000, you put those two together, you get about $500,000. And I really think it's important, if we go back to the RFP, it's in Exhibit A, page 23, and it says the initial term of the agreement will be for a period of 5 years. That's the calculations we should be using. We're talking about $2.5 million cheaper when you use Transwest. You wouldn't do this in any other analysis. You would want to know for the term of the contract what's the change. And so that's how we should be running these numbers, not minimizing the difference that your local vendor can provide you. I want to speak briefly about this concept of price agreements. There was about $100,000 in contracts that were awarded to 3 different vendors. Our Stanley, and it's about 1 guard at a time. Cervexo, which has morphed. I'm not sure what services they're still providing at this time. And obviously Transwest Security. And Transwest Security's deal, I want to say, was about $4,000. It was a very small part of this contract. What happened in that process was your board actually had an opportunity to vet whether or not those awards were appropriate. And price agreements were added, but what's happening today is a lot different. When we talk about numbers like $8 million and certainly not $100,000, like the 3 of the contracts combined that were awarded in this last bid quotation that resulted in price agreements, when you're dealing with $8 million, when you're being asked as a board to say, let's just sign up everybody, that's an end run. That's saying we don't want our math to be checked again. We don't want to come back to you. We want to give this to 3 vendors and let us handle it, because normally if it was more than $50,000, they're going to have a competitive bid process. If it's more than $200,000, they've got to come back to you. But the switch from saying, oh, I want 1 vendor, to never mind, I want 3 and I want price agreements for everybody, end run. They're evading the board's discretion, careful and thoughtful analysis, and ultimately oversight of the process. Obviously, the price agreement is not why we did an RFP. Why do we do an RFP? Not to give these open price agreements. And I'll say one more thing about price agreements. Each of the price agreements that you have with your existing vendors have an attachment. And it says, here's the sites they're looking over right now. Here's what they're working on. It's not just an open contract to say, you know, I'd like just to have these guys in my pocket to maybe assign them sites later, or to watch as potentially a national company tries to undercut your local vendor. Now that they're under contract, they're out of your purview, and they start trying to gobble away your local vendors' projects and sites. That's not how it was ever before. It's you get your site, it's attached to the contract. Why does a price agreement further not make sense? I guarantee there was no analysis done, because I've asked for all the records. I've seen all the analysis in the RFP that was in written form, or the process that was in written form. There was no analysis done as to what makes sense as to which vendor gets what. If you've got buildings 1 through 10, and they're lined up in that same order, how do you know as a board that maybe 1 through 4 are going to go to one vendor as opposed to 1, 7, and 10, and you've got folks spread out over town? There has to be an analysis and a cost analysis about how you split up a contract. Hasn't been done. We're not ready to do that today. Let's talk about the things we're ready to do today. Madam Clerk, if I can load my slide deck. What we're ready to do today is discuss a unified contract. And a unified contract is exactly what your board was recommended last time by staff. And Mr. Chairman, you have my slides, and so you'll have my calculations, and you'll know that the calculations that I provided were not what was put in front of your board today. But I just want to focus on this issue now. A unified securities contract does all these great things. Let's talk about scale. When you have scale, a company like Transwest, a local vendor, a vendor that's not buying 800,000 uniforms for an international security company, that's not buying workers' comp with the bulk mindset and margins that you're covering 800,000 employees. But when you give a company like Transwest a local vendor scale, we get to do added value things for you at no cost. We provide supervisors in the field who come and support incident response. We provide a rapid response team. You will not see these things in your bills. We don't bill for them. We're able to get out to the far reaches of Kern County, whether that's posting in Ridgecrest, for example. And when someone doesn't show up or is unable to show up for work, we still cover the post. And we might be paying someone to travel there for overtime to make sure that post is covered. Because when you, and by the way, those aren't billed, but when you have that type of scale, you can do those types of things. You start divvying up the contract, and you might actually get the far reaches part of the contract. And now that scale completely goes away, and it's a complete loss for a local company. It gets undermined. Who survives when you break up a contract? The big guy who's got 800,000 employees and say, we make our margin up elsewhere. A vote for a broken up contract is frankly a vote against local. The only way a local vendor can survive and provide the type of value-add services is to provide the entirety of the contract to the single vendor. What else did Transwest do for you as a county? It's been about 5 years ago now. I personally worked with Ryan Alsop on a plan to cut $5 million from security costs over the term of the contract. And the idea is that we as Transwest, we knew where you guys were spending too much money. We knew where you had overtime, you didn't need overtime. Our staff personally worked with department heads to propose plans to make the services cheaper. Number one, that's a very reliable vendor to do that for you. Number two, you can't do that when you're not handling the whole contract. And frankly, the expertise that you get is unmatched when you handle the entire contract. You know every nuance. And that was the value-add service that we could provide. And you can imagine how much staff time went into that audit that you weren't charged for. It was expensive. But when you have the whole contract, you can do those types of things. There's other reasons that are bullet pointed up there. The idea of cross-trained guards. Again, if you have 10 buildings, you can have 25 guards on standby, trained for all of those buildings. But you can't have 25 guards on standby for 1 or 2 or 3 buildings. But you may need all 25 to even cover building 1 and 2 in an emergency. So you really need to get all these value-add benefits, you keep the contract together. It prevents confusion among departments. There's coordination issues. Again, I don't need to further espouse this concept because your staff did it last time. They said this should be one vendor. I have no idea what happened between this meeting and that meeting, that meeting and this meeting. But let's get under contract. You've got a game-ready vendor. One of the things that was talked to you, well, that was just mentioned was the idea of negotiating a contract. We've already signed a contract with you. There's master terms and conditions that are attached to the RFP. We are ready to sign today. We're ready. We have people in position now. I just want to read to you from Allied's bid. This is on page 52 of their response to the RFP. We would be pleased to facilitate a productive dialogue with the goal of reaching mutually acceptable contract provisions. You're not done. You're not done. 51, page 51, what they've done is they've asked the county to narrow their indemnity obligations. They want to protect the county less. A security services company wants to protect the county less. What I'm asking for today is for you to give the contract to the local bidder, and now that we've done all the math, it's $2.5 million cheaper as the low bidder. It's a reliable security firm. They have clear, firm pricing. It's truly a local vendor. And the motion that I would hope would be made today is this: to respectfully disregard staff's recommendation, to award the contract to Transwest, and direct staff to finalize, not negotiate, to finalize the contract with Transwest. I appreciate your time, and I'm certainly available for questions. And before, I know that there's others that will speak. I just want to make sure that the folks that are here today to support Transwest are recognized for appearing. If you'll just stand up. And I just want to recognize these folks who are here to support their local vendor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dodgen. Would anyone else like to speak? Good morning.
Good morning. Tad Garabedian from Allied Universal Security Services. And I'm not sure what actually just happened here, because from what we understood, public comment took place last week and we went through this. And this was the first that we heard of the three-vendor solution. And if I'm hearing him right, the county just gave them a lifeline. And instead of taking that as the great vendor that they say they are, and if they're that good, they should be able to keep all the work that they have. And if there's the number deal that he's going through is just way out there. I could get here and talk for 45 minutes about why Allied should be the provider of choice. I'm not going to do that. Staff has already done that for you. And instead of taking the 3-company award and believing in their own merit and their own services that they've been providing, they're saying, throw it all out, just give it all to us. It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. First and foremost, and I think staff brought this up early on, this type of protest that they're putting on is against county rules. This was supposed to, if they had a problem with this low bid that they wanted to go talk about, that should have been done at the very, very beginning of the proposal process. Nothing was brought up. They signed that they agreed with the terms of the RFP when they signed their document, when they submitted it to you guys. And now they're saying, well, no. All of that is not true. We don't believe in it. Let's go back and rewind this thing. This is kind of crazy. It's really, really crazy. And I cannot see what the disadvantage would be to the county to allow departments to have a choice. To have a choice. Hey, if we're, and again, those numbers are crazy that they were talking about. But if we're that much higher, the departments aren't going to hire us. But if there's remote sites, if there's a building that somebody, I don't know, the department wants a higher quality security service, shouldn't they have the choice? And quite frankly, the numbers that we put in that proposal are as high as we can charge. If we decide we want to give them a better deal, we can. But what is the disadvantage when right now you saw it up there, there's 3 companies that they can choose. What's the difference in substituting? I'm dumbfounded that they're completely spinning this the wrong way. I find it ironic that our client, Cap K, just received an award from you, and we proudly serve them. And I wrote down a note. I think they called it the working poor is a term that he used, and they don't want people to have to work 2 jobs to make a living. We're proposing to help these people, to pay them. That it's not $1 million or whatever the increase is, but the increase of cost is going in their pockets. We're paying a higher wage. Anyhow, so first and foremost, I think this whole process is a little bit of a circus. This should not be allowed, quite frankly. Procurement, in the first or second page of the RFP, it says can be awarded to 1 or multiple vendors. If anybody should be mad, it would be us, because it's going from 1 to 3. But that's that's your prerogative. And quite frankly, we're fine with that. I don't know. It just procedurally, this seems strange. I think that procurement has brought up all of the points that I would be bringing forth to you as well. They did the right thing. Every county around here does it through an RFP process. There's not one single county, not one, that has ever done a low bid wins procurement. And let me warn you, if you were to go straight low bid, let's just say you put it out there low bid, guess who is not winning this contract? Transwest. And I'll tell you why. Because when you go straight low bid, guess who comes out of the woodwork? Bottom suckers. You get all the low bid people out there and they smell blood. And they will come and they will bid this thing with minimum wages and minuscule markups because that's what they do. They hunt for contracts like this. And you would literally be handing a contract to the bottom feeders of our industry if you were to take this thing low bid. So I'm not going to go, again, I could spend 45 minutes doing a presentation on Allied. They did their jobs. They've come up with a solution that is acceptable to us, that basically keeps the contract exactly like it is right now and allows the departments to choose, and that would be the fairest thing for you to do. So we would ask that you approve staff's recommendation, and we would be proud to serve the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garabedian. Are there any other speakers? Morning.
Good morning. My name's Cassie Biddle, and I'm here today as a business owner, a local business owner, and a community member, not a member of the City of Bakersfield's Planning Commission. I understand what he's saying. I'm not really here to understand all of the numbers either. It's above my pay grade, but what I do understand is my local economy and how the monies within our county and our city are spent within our own local economy. I don't understand how the metrics are made for local, but what I know, local to me means local headquarters, local ownership, local pride in sponsorships, and going into local restaurants and spending your money within our community. So I'm here just asking that we keep our Kern County money local to those businesses that support me on a daily basis. Because as I watch oil and agriculture leave, I get teary-eyed and I get a little nervous up here because I'm watching my local economy leave. So when I've got someone like Transwest here asking to keep our security local, I'm here as a community member asking you to do the same. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Biddle.
I get a little nervous when I speak, but dear members of the board and supervisors, my name is Manuel Aguilar. I'm the owner of Trans Auto Collision here in Bakersfield, California. The success of my business is the direct result of local companies giving me an opportunity, and one of those key supporters has been Transwest for the past 7 years. Their partnership has played a major role in my success, allowing me to grow my business and employ 30 local workers. Without the support of Transwest Security, I wouldn't be able to continue hiring local and giving back to my community, which has given me second chance in life. This contract directly impacts our ability to continue hiring and supporting the local economy. I kindly ask that as you consider your vote, you keep the importance of supporting local businesses in mind. A vote for local companies is a vote for our county's growth and well-being. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Trent.
Did you say give us your name again?
Manuel Aguilar.
Thank you, Manuel. Appreciate it.
And like he said, other counties, no, this is Kern County and we support each other.
I do this at my own peril. I'm going to ask that we not applaud each and every speaker politely. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Wendy Porter,
and I am the executive director and founder of the Wounded Heroes Fund. My husband and I, 15 years ago, invited some friends over to our house for dinner. We wanted to do a fundraiser to raise some money for a local Marine that had lost both of his legs in Iraq and was recovering at Walter Reed. So we did that and succeeded and were able to help him and his family quite a bit. But then phone calls started coming in that there were more veterans and families that needed help. So fast forward now, 15 years later, we occupy a 5,000 square foot building that is basically a community center for all veterans. We have multiple programs that are considered alternate therapies that go hand in hand with their mental health treatment and recovery. Our goal is to help these families transition back to civilian life and become productive community members here in Kern County. One of our biggest programs, which was a topic today, is food insecurity. We have a food pantry that we partner with CAPK, and we feed 400 to 600 people a month out of that. And that's veterans, just strictly veterans and their family members. So without the local partnerships, without the local businesses supporting, we wouldn't be here and we wouldn't be able to help our veteran population. And Kern County we're in the top third of the veteran population for the whole state of California. There are a lot of veterans here. So with businesses like Transwest that are local, helping local, that's the key to Kern County. That's, if a need is needed, it's thrown out there and we come together as a community and help each other. And I'm asking that you consider Transwest and keep that local, helping local continuing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Porter. Who's next?
Good morning, Board. My name is David Bruss. It's nice to see you guys at work today. Thank you for being here. I'm with Clifford and Bradford Insurance. We are the largest locally owned insurance agency in Kern County, and we are proud of our relationship that we have with Transwest. Going with the local source is by far the best decision we can make because that local dollar stays here. The idea that there should be more than one provider and that counties all around us and our county as well has more than one provider on lots of things is incorrect. We have lots of programs where there is only one provider in the county and there is only one choice, whether it's buying paper or God knows what else. Transwest is an incredible company. They're not being looked at because they haven't done the job right. They're being looked at because we had an open RFP process. An open RFP process that's going to save the county over $2 million in 5 years if we continue with Transwest. So the idea of saving money and keeping the money local is important to all of us. At our agency, as the agency that provides insurance to them, keeping those dollars local within our community and not allowing them to leak out to a company that parachutes into Kern County, wants to take the money and go wherever they go with it, is wrong. We need to support Transwest, and I ask that you support it and award the RFP to Transwest. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brust. Morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Supervisors. My name is Francis Cueto, a local small business owner. Chef Lino and I are partners with the Poorhouse on Fruitvale Avenue, owners to Lino's Venue in beautiful downtown Bakersfield, and owners to Chef Lino's Catering Services. I only mention that because we are definitely community supporters, and everywhere we go, we could be sure to see Transwest Security Services. I'm here today to talk about the power of why staying local is so critical for the future of our community, and why I'm here in support of another local business, Transwest Security Services. We have been in business for 10 years now and have seen many businesses close because of the economy and weak labor force brought on by COVID and other unintended impacts of our local economy. As we know, our economy is so fragile. For me, when big oil, agriculture, and other services industries leave, consolidate, or downsize, my restaurant has less patrons and clients are booking less events. I know of the power of the economic multiplier effect. when purchasing supplies, hiring long-term qualified labor, and giving back to our great community. There are 3 critical issues that I hope you take into consideration in making your decision. Number 1, cost savings to taxpayers, our county budget. Number 2, the reliability and quality of services by Transwest. They have shown up for us in the last minute's notice due to the flexibility of our industry. They have never let us down. Number 3, lastly, but just as important, they are truly a local vendor, a firm who eats at our local restaurants, purchases vehicles at local dealerships, and who gives back to many local nonprofits, such as you've heard them here today, Wounded Heroes Fund, JJ's Legacy, Kern County 99 Foundation, and the BPOA, just to name a few. We are blessed to cater these events, and you can always be sure you will see a table with the Transwest Security logo on it or seeing their guards on site. Transwest is proven, provided, and trusted. Thank you for your time, and I hope you overturn staff's recommendation and stay local.
Could you spell your last name for us?
Cueto.
Thank you.
Supervisor Couch, members of the board, Russell Johnson, Common Sense Consulting on behalf of Associated Builders and Contractors, here to speak in support of Transwest. At the last meeting, some comments were made about Transwest Security and their lack of support for their workforce. I can say as a member of the Associated Builders and Contractors, that is not true. First of all, ABC's programs are voluntary, meaning that the employer pays for them, and they're invested in safety and training. Their Passport Oilfield Service training is one that is required for the Transwest to be able to go onto an oil lease so that they can perform safely and perform their security role in a safe way. So it was some very untrue comments were made about the way that they reinvest in their employees and that they put safety first. Furthermore, the safety programs that ABC promotes encourages every employer to ensure that they reduce their total recordable incident rate. And Transwest definitely has to adhere to that, not only to stay a member of ABC, but also the oil companies mandate a high compliance to ensure your TRIR rates are low. So I just want to clear up some confusion or some misstatements that were made about Transwest and the way that they treat their workforce. They're a solid local employer that reinvests in their workers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any other comments? How come all you guys that want to comment sit in the back row? Front row's wide open.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Audrey Leverett, and I just want to point out, we're not pinheads, and we're not bottom feeders. We are local. We have integrity and honesty, and we are the right choice. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Morning, Chairman, Supervisors. Tal Eslick, E-S-L-I-C-K. I'm here on this morning on behalf of Allied. It's a couple of things. This is why you guys fight for these jobs, I guess. I'm just kidding. It's a tough morning. So I appreciate what you guys do. The attorney gentleman, super talented. I mean, I'm confused. If I walk outside and the sky's, green and the grass is blue, I won't be surprised. But I think we need to kind of bring this thing back a little bit to planet Earth. I'm very confident staff can do math. I think that's kind of a bit of an offensive accusation. Unsure at this point if it's fear of a larger company undercutting cost or a larger company being bloated and costly, but those are sort of competing things, so I'm not really following that line of thinking. Just to be very clear, more than 450 people today in Kern County work for Allied Universal. That's not that's a fact. We've heard from a few of them last meeting. So this distinction of, what is local, what is not local, that's 450 families today. Many of, your constituents, I assume, or your colleagues today that work for this company. 3 vendors today, staff outlined this. 3 vendors today, that's status quo. There are 3 options for the county. Much of that work is done by Transwest because they're one of the 3 vendors. That's great. After an RFP process, after checking the market, 3 vendors per staff recommendation, 3 vendors are available to the county. Some departments may say, we want the cheapest. Anybody who can put an outfit on, we just need a warm body. Others may have more sensitive work. Maybe they want a higher compensated employee. They may pursue that, and they can choose those. They can make those decisions. What they can tailor that for what they need. This would, the staff recommendation as outlined today, will allow them to do that. What's being proposed, from what I gathered by Transwest today now, is just them. So we're going from 3 to a staff recommendation of a market-informed 3 to no, let's just give it to one company. I don't know which of the things we think that's good, if that's for saving money or if that's for the local aspect. We're kind of competing values here, but what the staff's recommending, and I applaud staff, I work in this space often, and not often does staff sort of respond so quickly to what they hear in a meeting. I think it was informed. They came in based on an RFP and recommended an award to the top bidder by a ways, by the way. After the conversation and I think reflecting upon comments from the body that they report to, they came up with what I believe is a reasonable recommendation for 3 vendors based on checking the market. So with that, I ask you to sort of cut through a bit of the noise. I can appreciate these nice folks from Kern County that are here today. We could have just as easily had a number of people filling this room that are Transwest employees, constituents of yours in Kern County. We didn't do that today. We ask that you look to staff, trust staff, adopt a reasonable plan here, and then departments can make the decision on what type of vendor they prefer based on what's outlined by staff. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Eastlick. Any other comments today? By anyone? Okay, back to the board for questions, comments, and action. I don't see any lights on yet, so I will start. Clear something up for me. Right now, we have 3 companies providing security service.
That is
I'm going to
correct.
ask some very, very basic yes or no questions, which you can amplify if you want, but we have 3. Do we have 3 price agreements?
We have 3 agreements. We have one price agreement with Transwest that lists locations. We have one, we call it price agreement, but it's for one location with Cervexo. Our recorder's office uses Cervexo. And then we have an agreement with R. Stanley that uses, our ETR department uses them.
Is that agreement a price agreement like the others are?
It has a price quoted, yeah, if you want to.
Okay, define for me the difference between agreement as you know it and price agreement. What is the basic difference?
So this RFP was for a price agreement. We are going to agree to a price, not to a location, okay? So the price will be firm for a 2-year period. We didn't ask for a 5-year period. We asked for a 2-year period, firm pricing, so departments can know what their cost is. Now, we will have terms that go with that price that says you must provide, security offices, specific terms, and then the location under a price agreement could be changed based on needs, could be changed based on the department's needs, so they might add or delete locations. That's a price agreement. Right now, we have an.
Can I interrupt and ask you a question? I thought the master agreement, I'm not sure if I'm using the right terminology. There's a master agreement of some kind that spells out where each company will be providing services, which building they're going to be providing it at.
Yes and no. There is no such thing as a master agreement. There is a non-exclusive agreement that lists locations where departments could, at their discretion, add or delete location. There's not a requirement that they provide services on those locations. I mean, for.
So what I'm hearing is that the RFP said, we just want a number, we want the services you're going to provide and the cost you're going to charge us, but we're not really telling you where you're going to provide those services specifically.
We list a lot of locations. We list the location because it would be not appropriate for them to know where the locations are. So we list our facilities and their requirements where those services will be provided. But there's no guarantee.
I guess I'm lost. How could it not be appropriate for them to know where they're gonna?
No, they are. They're listed there, but there's no guarantee that a department, we have departments right now that decided that a security company wasn't appropriate for them and have requested park ranger security attendants instead. So departments have the flexibility to add or delete locations from the agreement.
I get that, but how do you, I guess what I'm asking is, how is someone expected to bid or provide a response to an RFP if they don't really know? I might be going through all this work and I might only get one guard sent out to Ridgecrest. I'm picking on Ridgecrest for a second because they're a long ways away from where we are. Or I might get all of them. And they've got to provide a response to an RFP based on that broad gambit of possibilities?
They have to respond, have the ability to provide all of them or one of them, yes.
Wow. Okay. I'm not sure that that's going to get us the best deal. Because they have to assume that they have to assume both options and anything in between. And that means they have to increase their price to make sure they are not stepping into a situation they can't afford.
I don't want to speak for the companies, but.
That wasn't even a question, so I'm
That's all
sorry, but you can respond to that.
But 12 companies responded to the RFP, so 12 companies felt that they were competent, capable of providing services, so.
But they had no idea where they
There
would.
was a list of locations, but again, the choice is you
But
have.
they don't know how many they're going to get or
Correct.
how long they would stay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's going to be, so right now we have agreements, price agreements. Are these agreements that you want to go negotiate, and I'm not sure if that's the right word, but let's use it. Are these agreements you want to go negotiate different from the agreements you currently have?
That is correct. We have agreements, and this will be price agreements. We provided with the RFP terms and conditions, our generic terms and conditions. Now, we would go back to the 3 vendors if your board chooses staff recommendation and renegotiate the terms.
So let me chase that for a second. So when you go negotiate that, would the results of those negotiations come back to the board?
Yes, an agreement would come back to the board.
It would have to.
Would believe, I will defer to council, but I believe so, yes.
The reason I'm asking that is Mr. Dodgen read off what to me sounded like a word salad of a response in one of the RFP responses, which was about our standard terms and conditions. They had every respondee had to say they accepted those terms and conditions. It didn't sound like that response wasn't that they accepted them. It sounded like they wanted to have a conversation about them.
So the RFP requires them not to accept them, but to agree that they have read them, and if they have concerns about them, to outline those concerns. During the negotiation process, if we cannot reach an agreement, then we will not enter into an agreement with that vendor.
But what I want to chase down and be very specific about is, and I'm picking on you today, you're going to be the one that sits down with Company A, and you're going to negotiate with them. And on the terms and conditions, whatever you agree to and whatever they agree to has to come back to the board and for our approval. I'm going to pause for a second because I see Supervisor Flores punched in. Go ahead.
Sure. Oh, thank you, Chairman Couch. So the conversation and the recommendations have changed dramatically, actually, since the last video I saw back in August, where we had the staff recommendation to be sustaining the awardee Allied and rejecting the appeal of Transwest And then also that was the staff recommendation on Thursday, 2 p.m. So we've got a big change here. But before I go into extended comments, I just have some quick questions because they're not earth-shattering questions, but they're questions of importance to me because it tests the intent, it tests the reliability and the strength of the RFP process. And on page 20 of TransWest presentation, I'm just going to take a small slice out. It talks about, and I'll read it for the benefit of staff and the public if you don't have it handy. It says, Servexo's proposal should have been rejected for failure to disclose termination. And it goes on with some highlighted portions. And I guess it appears to me that this is our language. Provide a list of all clients with current contact information, including email, to which you've been provided similar service over the last 2 years, but are not currently working for it. Please indicate why you are not currently providing services to said clients. And I guess it's their position, the TransWest representative, that Servexo should have been thrown out. What does staff think about that proposition? Should they have been thrown out? Are we adhering to our own guidelines?
We are adhering to our own guidelines. Again, departments have the choice to switch companies. Servexo has an agreement with the county. They have not been terminated. They are currently providing services for the county. The situation that they're addressing is a department, a company, decided that they were not meeting their quality or their services, and they have the right to pick another company. So they selected TransWest to come and service them. That is not a termination of agreement. That is something that is allowed under our current existing agreements.
Okay, so it's staff's position that the lack of provision of the clients doesn't constitute a breach of the RFP process?
It's not a termination of agreement. We
Okay.
have a current agreement in place with them.
Sure, I'm just doing some tests, just testing the edges here. I don't know if you have more questions or if you want me to keep going.
No, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So also, the last hearing that I saw from my couch, because I had COVID, but it actually woke me up a bit. There was a lot of back and forth from the dais with our colleagues, and that happens. This is government. This is high stakes, big contracts, and a lot of stakeholders involved. But there was some, innuendos or accusations about process and about clients and the rejection of staff's work. I don't buy that. There was some attacks on the process and how the board had discarded the RFP process and wasn't listening. But it's my position that the very discussion of last August, the very discussion today, is the process. It's embedded innately in the process, that all applicants have the right to appeal to the board. This is what's happening. It's not outside that process. There's no hanky-panky that was alluded to. This is the process. So speaking of process, back early this year, and I want to commend staff. Staff has worked hard on this. The scoring committee has worked hard on this. There's been a lot of work. When our former CEO came in, Mr. Jim Zervis, in my office, we had discussions, nothing private, it was a one-on-one discussion. I think he informed all our board members that he wanted to test the market. That's what this was about. Any RFP process is good for any entity. It's good for the government, it's good for private sector. When I was in Kern High, we routinely tested the market because that's a good fiduciary responsibility. Frequency, that's up to debate. Anyway, he came in and he specifically said, I want to make sure that we test the market and that we're getting the best rate, the best value, the best cost. And I said, okay, do what you got to do. So this is the culminating point of that from its inception. And so I weight personally cost. Cost is very important because the whole thing was predicated on cost from the beginning. And so if I have a company coming in at $2.5 million cheaper, that's important. That's an important part of the discussion. There was some talk, and there was, people are going to have different opinions. Some view that as bad, some view that as good. There was a term called, someone said bottom feeder. Everyone's going to have different opinions on this. But I'm looking out for the Kern County taxpayer. I'm looking out for our departments, for our general fund. So I'm going to heavily weigh cost. And if it's $2.5 million cheaper, That's important in my book, because dollars are important in this day and age with oil valuations, with budgeting, with everything that's going on in the macroeconomic environment. Also, with respect to process and scoring, you know, I wasn't in there, I'm not an expert in bids, but the applicant's attorney is talking about over and over transition plan and how that was scored, the weighting given to that in multiple categories. You know, they're not going to have a transition plan if they leave. So that scoring, the way that was scored, you know, may have affected the score, did affect the outcome of the scoring across multiple categories and across the candidates. To the Allied's representative, you know, he makes a strong point that you just can't come back here retroactively in, I don't know if he used this word, but I'm gonna use this word, do new scoring jujitsu and have a new scoring that helps your client. You can't do that. I recognize that. But for this particular item, in terms of the weighting of transition plan, that fundamentally altered the whole RFP scoring and process. And so I don't know if objections were made at the beginning of that with with counsel of Transwest or not. It should have been. If you're bringing it up now, you should have brought it up at the beginning. I don't know if you did or not, but that's an important argument. And I don't know when you brought it up, if you bring it up at the last minute or not, but it's an important argument for me. So I just wanted to talk about that. Also, with respect to local vendors, you know, I know technically all three were considered local because they met the threshold of our local vendor ordinance. You know, I think in future meetings, we can look at that ordinance and see how it's structured, because I don't want people coming in, I'm not saying this is the case at this time, but I don't want people coming in with a virtual office and the bare minimum and a zip code when I have a real proven local vendor who's active in the community. The testimony bears it out with philanthropy. You know, I see him at the restaurants, I see him, you know, as a vibrant part of our community. I think that needs to be strengthened and tightened by our board. But I think in this case, all three are technically local. They've met the provisions of our local ordinance, and Allied has a strong, I think it was 250 or 450, was it 250 or 450? 450, that's local. It's local employees, and I get that, so that's a tough one. Also, in terms of the status quo, in the new recommendation, I'm going to call it, for lack of a better word, Transwest representative, their council, seem not want to go in that direction, but it's my understanding that we do have that direction currently. We have, it's gone, the presentation, but we have 3 now that departments can choose, correct? Mm-hmm. Correct. So there's no, I don't think there's anything earth-shattering in terms of a new direction. That's our current direction, and staff is advocating for a sustaining of that direction, but changing out one of them for Allied. Am I understanding that right?
As soon as their term expires, yes. We'll have 4 for the short term and then eventually 3.
Okay, so.
Because R. Stanley did not submit a proposal.
Okay, so we're, I think, in essence, continuing with the new recommendation, a status quo choice for departments. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. And then, which, you know, as a free market conservative, I believe in competition. I believe, I pick who I want to pick for my office supplies. In my case, I pick Stenson because they're truly local and we're well served with that. I think, I don't see anything wrong with giving departments choice on who they want to pick. Competition's a good thing. It breeds strong work among all our respective vendors. If one company has truly local price, I think they're going to be local price. I think they're going to be well served by sustaining that low price. Now, I did hear in Mr. Dodgen's presentation. I mean, I think competition is good. Private sector does it. I think government needs to do it more. But he did allude to some arguments in terms of scale that did make me rethink that and give me some pause. So if there's some issues to going into that open competition direction that it's going to fundamentally change the services or change the cost, I'm open to hearing those arguments further, because I want to make sure at the end of the day that the taxpayer gets the best value, best cost, that there's best choice for our department heads, best choice for the county. I think that's how our constituents will be best served. And so far, our current vendor has demonstrated that through 35 years of local service, and they're to be commended for that. And then lastly, there was a lot of discussion about who pays more and what employees make, and that's all a private business decision. You know, if Company A wants to pay their employees more, good for them. If Company B has a different payroll model that works for them, that's not, as an elected, that's not my domain. That's the private sector. Let the market dictate that. I don't think that any company should be chastised for how they do business. What I'm looking at, my business customer are the constituents of Kern County, my department heads, and getting the best price for the county of Kern. So I just wanted to give those initial remarks about how I see things.
If I may, Supervisor Flores to the chair, if you, one of the things that we would do as if your board chooses to select the 3 vendors, one of our initial first thing that we will do, we'll contact the departments. We already know who uses what company, and we will do a survey just to ensure that there's no change. The requirements between departments are very different. We have our behavioral health departments have to provide our security guards our own training. Doesn't matter what company they choose from. And so right now they have Transwest, they have trained their staff. Most likely it will be disruptive for them to switch. So I don't want to speak for the director, but I'm telling you that their requirements are very, very different for each department. Some departments may say, you know what, let me give somebody a try for this fiscal year, and if it doesn't work, next fiscal year we can switch to a different provider. And as you mentioned, competition is not a bad thing, as long as we have a very good agreement, a price agreement, and the companies understand what is required of them under those agreements. One of the things that was mentioned, well, why did we change? Transwest clarified in their last meeting that their pricing was firm. I mean, that was one of their concerns. Under the current agreement, we have had changes every time there's a minimum wage CPI. We have a cost change. Now they have affirmed their cost as firm, as not changing for the first 2 years as we require in the RFP. Great, they're gonna be the lowest cost. I guarantee you departments are looking for savings. They might stay with Transwest because they're the lowest cost based on the numbers. I do numbers. My numbers, I do your budget, 4.1 billion. I think I know numbers. I did not do the math. Those numbers came directly from Transwest. I used their document that they provided to your board last time. I had done my previous analysis, as I mentioned on the last board meeting. We did look at costs. We did look what departments are using, and outline was higher costs. We didn't dispute that. But also your committee, your evaluation committee felt that they would provide a higher level of service. So with having the ability of having 3 vendors, departments will have the ability to choose what's more important to them. Keeping the lowest cost, keeping a different vendor that has potentially higher quality, and if they don't, they go back to Transwest. That's the beauty of having 3 vendors and the ability to contract differently.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. And then lastly, or secondly, so we're not in disagreement in the savings of $2.5 million over the contract term. All sides agree to that.
They came out with mine. When I added the vehicle, and I want to clarify, Transwest, perhaps they may not charge now, but in their proposal, they included a vehicle charge. So it is there. Whether they're going to charge it or not, I mean, that's maybe subject to negotiation or an agreement. But their proposal if you may put that on the presentation, I actually took it part of their proposal. It does include a vehicle charge. So that's why we added it into their own calculation to compare apples to apples, perhaps on their negotiation. Right here, this is directly from their proposal. So there is a vehicle charge, so we added it in the calculation, in their own calculation, just to compare them. But they're still lower than Ally. There's no dispute on that. It's not $500,000 a year. It's about 300 and, let me see my PowerPoint, over 300,000 a year. So there is a saving by keeping Transwest, if that's what your board chooses to do. But again, having 3 vendors provides the departments some flexibility based on their needs. And we have departments, not all departments are the same. We have different needs depending on the department. What the Department of Human Services needs an OC seal is a different type of security guard than we have here on our 2nd floor, completely different.
Okay, so then we're still apart on what the true costs are.
It's 300 to, Transwest says $500,000 a year. Adding the vehicle, which is included in their proposal, is 300, over 300,000. Ally is higher than Transwest. So if you put the slide when it shows the comparison, Amanda, please. So right here, we calculate 346, Transwest calculated $500,000. Transwest did not include the vehicle, which was part of their proposal. They included a vehicle charge. They may not charge it now, but they sure was included as part of their proposal that they would charge.
Okay, thank you. Okay. That's it for at the moment.
Supervisor Peters, I have a question if you want to go now or, okay. Transwest provided these numbers to you. The same numbers are on the Allied proposal, and it comes to a different total cost. Did Allied provide those numbers to you as well?
All the numbers came from the document that was provided to the clerk of the board at the last meeting. They indicated that we have not done a cost comparison, which we did, but they did their own. They only had Transwest and Allied numbers on it. We did not change the numbers. The only thing that we added on that number is the annual mileage estimate and the annual vehicle estimate. None of the vendors provided those. We calculated those.
Let me back up. Mr. Dodgen mentioned on a particular graph that the numbers, the multiplication didn't work.
Correct.
Okay. You're telling us that Transwest gave us those numbers that don't?
Correct.
Okay. Allied, the slide for Allied, the very next slide, has the exact same numbers under regular costs, overtime hours, regular bill rate, overtime bill rate, but a different total cost, which is also about $300,000 cheaper. So did Allied provide those numbers?
No, Transwest did.
Okay, Transwest provided these Allied numbers.
Correct.
That didn't add up either
Correct.
to a different number.
They provided a spreadsheet that has a comparison of Transwest and Allied.
Are you telling me that Transwest then also provided you the Cervexo numbers on the?
Those, as I indicated in my presentation, we did ourselves to compare the 3 top vendors.
Okay. Here's my question before I go to Supervisor Peters. If we had approved your recommendation back in August, could departments have been able to retain Transwest or Cervexo?
Yes, they would have to negotiate separately with them, not have a price agreement. This is a non-exclusive price agreement. They can still contract with somebody else, but they would have to negotiate the price, they would have to negotiate everything directly. And if the cost, as Transwest representative stated, if the cost exceeds $200,000, they would have to bring that agreement to your board.
Okay, so that is the difference. There's a big difference there in what you recommended back in August and this recommendation today, right? And that's the main difference. These 3 companies won't have to negotiate with a department. They're going to negotiate with you on a price agreement, prior to them ever talking to a department. Is that correct? Someone should have told me that a long time ago. Okay? Supervisor Peters.
Thank you, Chairman.
Now I grasp where you're going. Okay.
When is the fourth company you had mentioned, R. Stanley, that didn't bid? When is their current agreement? When does that expire?
It is, I believe, 2025. I have a copy of their agreement with me. Let me just, 1 second, please. February 28, 2025.
Okay, and then this RFP that we're discussing today would be, it's for a 2-year term, you said?
We have firm pricing for 2 years, so we will enter into a 2-year with the ability to extend for additional 3-year term.
Okay. Got it. Sorry, I've got a lot of notes here. Could you talk a little bit more about the scoring? Supervisor Flores asked a lot of the questions that I was going to bring up, but that one part is concerning about waiting for assigning heavier weight to some of the transitional stuff. I don't know how that worked or what the truth is.
Supervisor Peters, we need to do a better job, what we call transition plan. For the incumbent, what we're looking for, we know they don't have a transition plan because they're providing the services, but at a minimum, they should indicate in their proposal how they're going to continue providing great services for the county. That's the minimum we ask. A line that says, oh, we don't have a transition plan because we are providing services is not sufficient. If there was a clarifying question that the vendor had, we had a pre-proposal meeting that they could have asked to their heart contents questions if they needed clarification. This is not the first time that TransWest brings this issue up. We had a protest before where this came up, but I guarantee you we are not gonna call it transition plan. We're gonna say it provision of services plan or something else, so it's clear to everybody, even incumbents, that they have to provide information how they're gonna continue providing great services. TransWest, despite having limited information, they actually made it to the top 3. I mean, they were selected for an interview. They were interviewed, and your evaluation committee, made of members that deal with security issues every day, scored them based on their responses during the interview as well. So it wasn't just the transition plan, it was an overall review of not only their proposal, but their interview.
Okay, understood. And that was kind of where I was going with that, is if they were dinged on that, it sounds like that was more of a miscommunication than anything from what I'm hearing anyway. Okay, I know a few times these figures not being accurate have been brought up. What are the actual figures that everybody's agreeing to? I mean, I can't agree to figures with taxpayer dollars that aren't accurate, that I don't understand. So what are the actual hard numbers that?
So there's an estimated what we use annually. So the number you're seeing is the hours that we currently use in times a rate. There are more than one rate in the proposals. We ask for different levels of security services. So you're looking at, right now, we're spending about $8 million annually on security services. So what TransWest did on their calculation that they provided on last meeting, they took the number of hours, applied it to one rate for our general services departments, and because our behavioral health departments require a higher level of service, they used the rate for behavioral health services applied to the number of hours that we are paying now, and came up with their estimates. Those are estimates. So the contract has a potential value up to, $8 million. But again, departments may say, you know what, county, we need a security attendant. We're gonna hire a county employee instead. So those numbers are gonna vary. But if you take our current spending, the contract value is about $8 million a year, based on specific rates for security guards at different levels, based whether they go overtime, the employees work overtime, they get paid overtime, and we get charged overtime. One of the things that was mentioned is an audit about saving us $5 million. If there's a copy of such audit, I'll take a copy. Mr. Ryan Alsap or Mr. Service never provided me. I have never seen it from Transwest. But if that thing exists, believe me, $5 million is a big number. I'll take a look at it. We'll figure out how to save those $5 million. But I never seen that audit. So look forward to getting a copy of it.
Okay, thank you. Then just a couple more questions. One of the representatives from Allied brought up that this isn't, or I guess he said this is against how we're supposed to be conducting it in our own policies. Is that accurate, or did they, was there anything that was said in the last meeting that would lead them to believe that we wouldn't have any public comment? I just want to make sure everybody has.
No, your board has the process for an RFP, we notify vendors, selection or not selection. They have a debriefing with our administrator that handle the RFP, and they're in their absolutely right to come to your board. The ultimate decision to select a vendor is under your board. And so any vendor can come and speak to your board. We follow our process. Transwest have the right to be here. Ally had the right to be heard as well, any vendor. If they didn't protest, they can still come and address your board. It is within their rights to do so.
Okay. And then lastly, I guess that kind of answers my question, but what the current recommendation is kind of splitting the baby, so to speak, and letting departments go on a case-by-case basis. But what does the board today have the authority to decide? Is it to reject or approve staff's recommendation, or recommend another direction, or all of the above?
Your board has the decision to select one or multiple vendors.
Okay.
Your board will direct staff to enter into contract negotiation with those vendors if you choose to do one or multiple. So that would be the recommendation. Your options would be to select one. You could pick Ally, as was recommended by the selection committee. You could decide based on the testimony of Transwest that you could select Transwest, or you can take staff recommendation today and select the top 3 vendors, in this case, which includes Servexo, because they were rated as number 2 by the selection committee. And then we would enter into contract negotiations with the 3 vendors. Depending on those negotiations, we will bring to your board 3 agreements, 1 agreement, 2 agreements, depending on how successful negotiations are.
Understood. Thank you.
You just said something that has nothing to do with today's action, but I want to talk about it since we're talking about it. You said instead of a transition plan, you're going to call it a continuity of service plan. How is a non-incumbent going to answer a continuity of service plan question?
They're going to have 2 options. Are you an incumbent? You're going to do a continuity of service. You're not an incumbent, you're going to do a transition plan.
Let me submit in the strongest possible terms, because I keep talking about this and it drives me crazy. I think you should ask for a continuity of service plan from an incumbent, and you should ask for a transition plan from a non-incumbent, but I don't think they should be scored as part of the RFP, because they're 2 separate questions. Does that make sense?
It does.
Do you agree with that? Or are you going to do it anyway? I just don't get how you score something that is 2 entirely different questions, or how you can give somebody points for something that somebody else doesn't really have an opportunity to get.
Yeah, and it affects the trajectory of the outcome.
So, Supervisor Flores, through the chair, Supervisor Couch.
Yep.
We have an opportunity to revise our RFP document. I think it needs to be clarified. I think there's an opportunity to be more transparent on how we're going to score things when an RFP is issued. from the get-go. So everybody knows up front how things are being scored and what's being scored. I think we had that opportunity, and I think we're already in the process, and council can correct me if I'm wrong, but we're already reviewing. There's some other changes that we need to incorporate because we're required by law. So we're gonna incorporate some changes to our RFP document to make it clear, not to every vendor, how things, what they require of them and how they're gonna be scored.
Okay. So today's action, why, this is a hard question, maybe you don't even have an answer for it, but why would you not have made the same recommendation that you're making today back in August?
Very simple.
Okay,
Transwest clarified at the last meeting that their price is firm. In additional, they clarified on their PowerPoint. That makes them competitive in the pricing instead of having what I call a cost plus, like they currently practices, where there's changes in minimum wage, CPI, we get an price increase. Now we're gonna have firm price for 2 years.
and any price, you're calling them price agreements, so I want to be specific about it. It's not a contract, or is it?
It's a price agreement. We're agreeing to the price.
And that's what you're going to go negotiate?
Correct. The terms for that price.
But does that have anything to do with specific locations?
We will address that. We will contact the department because I think it's fair to the vendors to understand whether they're negotiating for me for one location or 20 locations. So we're gonna do a survey of our departments, at least for this fiscal year, with their intention, and we'll have that information available.
Information available to,
The vendors.
and any of those agreements have to come back to the board?
Correct. We'll bring even if they're not required, we can bring them to your board for approval.
The reason I'm asking for that is mostly because of, I think the price is not my main issue here because I think they're all gonna be close. It's the terms and conditions. Okay.
And I thank you, Chairman Couches. I agree with you 100%.
So, formulate a motion for us that does what you want to do, but brings each individual price agreement back to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I can recommend.
I'm sorry, I'm going to recognize Mr. Dodgen here for a second, but I'll recognize others if they want to.
Thank you. There was a statement that was made that is, it's a huge magnitude. The concept that Supervisor Flores was advised that it's a status quo. We have price agreements now. We're going to do price agreements no different. Just so you know, for over 35 years, 99% of the revenues on security services under one contract. These little tiny price agreements are about $100,000 when they went out to bid. This is $8 million. You've never done this before. You've never you never sent out surveys to departments saying who wants this
Thank you
company.
for that, because
Thank you.
let's get you to respond to that,
Yeah,
because
thank you, 'cause-
I've been thinking that for a while. This is a departure from what we've done in the past, correct?
It will be a departure what we have done in the past. Your board would have 3 different agreements. It doesn't mean that 90% is still not gonna go to one vendor. If departments decide to maintain Transwest as their provider, 90% will continue to go to one vendor. That is no change there. Again, departments right now, it is a non-exclusive price agreement. Departments have the choice to go contract with somebody we're not in agreement with, under an agreement with. There is not exclusivity. The fact that departments have chosen that.
There is not exclusivity, but they have to go have a negotiation, for lack of a better term, a conversation with a different vendor.
Correct.
And under your scenario, they just have to pick up the phone and call a vendor and say, I want somebody here tomorrow morning.
Correct.
And you think that's a better way of doing it?
Yes. There's competition, there's quality of service that could be addressed without having to redo
how do you respond to this criticism that comes to mind? We just did an RFP, and everybody supplied us their price. Now, which price is everybody going to charge? Is it going to be the price that Transwest gave us? Is it going to be the price that Allied gave us? Is it going to be the price that Cervexo gave us?
It will be the price that they provided, and it is negotiated in the agreement, which normally, under normal circumstances, it would be the price that they proposed. Now, I think Ally made a comment that they would negotiate down so we can make everybody the same, if that's what Ally would agree to during negotiations.
But once you do that, let me ask you this. Once you take all the responses from all these respondees, and I'm sorry to belabor this, but I think once you put out an RFP, you get all the responses, they put in there all the details. It's multiple pages and pricing. And then you go negotiate with each different one and you start moving it around. Doesn't that sort of argue against the whole RFP process that you started with?
Normally, we would not change price. We would stay with the price because it's a price agreement. The terms are, we have our basic terms and condition. We would negotiate any additional terms and conditions that seems appropriate. Like, it wouldn't be terms and conditions, it would be, look, services, like how do we address complaints? How do we address non-shows? How do we report different things that have to do with operations? So we would have the price that they propose, and then Ally would be, if their proposal, their rate is higher, so departments, if they're concerned about cost, they would select the lowest cost that is on the price agreement.
All those things you just mentioned are probably important, and I don't want to diminish them, but to me, the indemnity portion of all that is extremely important.
I agree with you, and if we're unable to negotiate that, we will not bring an agreement to your board.
Supervisor Flores, did you punch in and I haven't taken you off
Oh,
yet?
no, that's an old one.
Old one? Okay.
Sorry.
Philip, have you punched in?
Yeah, I'm still kind of thinking through my question here a little bit, but, so we're anticipating that everybody will have the same price under this price agreement? I mean, reasonably the same price?
It is pretty close. It will be the price that they quoted on their proposal, which makes Transwest has lower rates.
Okay.
I have an idea. Tell me what's wrong with this. And most of this, my recommendation for this is based on the local vendor and the price. I think we should approve for you to negotiate with Transwest. I don't know what we're negotiating because we have their price and we have their agreement to the, I think there has to be a master services agreement. I know I've read that somewhere.
There's not a master agreement there. We have master terms and conditions that were included with the RFP.
Okay. They've agreed to that.
Have
they not?
I don't have them in front of me, so I would have to review if they had any.
Well, Mr. Dodgen gave us an entire, a couple of binders. And I didn't read all the articles, Mr. Dodgen, but I read the other stuff. And in there was their agreement to the master terms and conditions agreement. It was in Allied's proposal that they basically said, well, we don't disagree, we'd like to talk about it. For lack of, I mean, I'm paraphrasing them. I would like to approve an agreement with Transwest, but give you the opportunity to go speak with the other two and bring those back later if you want. But I'm not approving you to go negotiate a price agreement.
So you.
I'm asking for you to go talk to departments and see if they actually want someone other than Transwest, and if they do, then I want you to bring that back to us.
So we're gonna do that as part of this. Today's action is for you to select the vendor or vendors based on the RFP, not to, you would authorize me to enter into contract negotiation with one, two, or all three.
But don't I have the option of authorizing you to enter into negotiations with the other two a month from now, if I want to. Might not be the same price, I understand, might not be the same terms.
So in essence, you will be selecting Transwest as part of the RFP, and then not part of the RFP, negotiate prices and terms with the other two vendors.
Correct. If departments really want to come back, if there are departments out there that want to say, I want to use someone else because of whatever, then I want them to tell me that.
Then your board is you asked me to create a motion. So the motion that your board would take is not approve staff recommendation, select Transwest as the successful vendor of a request for proposal, and to enter into contract negotiation under the price agreement directly with them. And then if other departments seek to select somebody else, then we would negotiate separately with them prices and terms.
If other departments want to do that, I'll change it slightly. If other departments would like that, you would report back to us and tell us which departments those are, and then we can instruct you to do so or not. It's a two-step process.
Would they still have Cervexo? Give us 1 second, we're trying to.
Mr. Garabedian,
Yes, sir.
I allowed the other guys to speak, so fire away.
We're a little concerned.
So am I.
Okay.
What are you concerned about?
Well, first and foremost, with respect to the indemnification language, that was actually part of the RFP process. So where it said, is there anything that you would like to discuss? Just put it in here. It's not an exception. It's not a hard line. It says, yeah, we'd like to talk about this language.
If I described it as a hard line, I sincerely apologize. It's not what I meant to say. It's simply not an acceptance.
Right, and we would tell you right now, we'll accept the language in its current format. I mean, it wasn't that important to us. It was something that in fact, I think if you even ask her, the language says we would like to discuss it. So
right.
we accept the language. So if that's off the table, I think it still goes back to the RFP says you can award to one or multiple vendors. Why would it not be in the county's best interest to allow the departments to choose? The evaluators were from those departments. So now you're going to go back to the evaluators and give them one vendor, but say, hey, if you don't want them now, let us know. I mean, that just seems like that's just not the way it works. So I guess where we're coming from is they conducted a fair RFP process. They came up with a solution that allowed for competition, that allows departments to choose. And with all due respect, the motion that I'm hearing is saying, let's do this contract to the third place finisher, who they didn't choose in their evaluations. And then later on, if they want to use them, they can kind of come and say, well, we'd rather make a change. That's exactly what the three vendor solution does. It allows them, if they're working with Transwest for the next 6 months and they don't like the service, they have the option to change, not just today, but at any point in the future. And I think that's how Transwest even picked up some of their work. Cervexo had the work, they weren't performing, and if the option wasn't there to choose another vendor, they'd have been stuck. And this option allows them to make that choice at any time during the contract period. So how that is not in the county's best interest, I don't know. So again, I just wanted to say that indemnification language is off the table. That was just something that in the RFP process it allowed us to do. We did. If we weren't able to negotiate that language, fine, we're good. So again, thank you, appreciate it, and thank you for letting me speak again.
You bet, no problem. Thank you. Supervisor Peters.
Thank you. So this whole RFP, this has been like nothing that I've had to deal with before. This has gotten confusing and really been an interesting process. But my understanding for a while was that this was basically what we had been doing for a while, this 3-vendor price agreement type arrangement. But from what Mr. Dodgen said, that's not it. That's a portion of what the county's been doing. There was a larger piece of it that was Transwest. I need to understand what that was that he was referring to.
He's referring that they have the majority of the county services, but there's no requirement, none, that obligates any department to pick Transwest. They can call Cervexo right now and say, hey, would you pick up our location? We add their location to their agreement, they can pick Cervexo. The fact that they're getting 90% of the services of, their service, the county, doesn't mean there's absolutely any requirement. Again, they don't have an exclusivity with the county. We can pick any of the 3. I can call, I don't know, any other company, any of the 12 that didn't get to the top 3 and said, hey, here's would you be able, what's your price, as long as we go through a competitive process, and if it exceeds $200,000, I come to your board with an agreement and said, hey, the Department A wants to pick this company instead of the 3. Your board has the ability to say yes or no. There's no exclusivity.
Okay. I believe 100% what you're saying. I understand that, but just for clarification and so there's no confusion, do you concur with everything she just said?
The word majority was used. When I hear the word majority, I think something over 50%. Almost all would have been the right term. 99%. So you get out the same calculator, you put 100,000 up on the top, you divide it by $8.4 million, and for over 35 years, you've had one vendor providing almost all security services, 99%. And to the extent that the departments have the ability to choose, it hasn't happened outside of the vendor that has performed great for over 35 years. So this suggestion from the chairman seems to be right on point. Let's authorize staff to proceed to contract with Transwest. If there's really a problem with any of these departments, there is a procedure that you can use. For under 50,000, the department go out on their own.
I don't want to cut you off. I understand your point of view, but I'm
yeah,
just
it's not
asking
an
if-
open mic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
thank you for that.
if her
99%. That's the answer. 95%
Understood.
of these are under one contract, one
Thank
vendor.
you.
There's some, sir, would you like to speak? In the blue blazer and the white shirt?
I think we're getting away from.
Hey, well, let me get you to the microphone before you.
I'm sorry.
Andy Coleman, Allied University.
Mr. Coleman, how are you?
I think we're getting away from the heart of everything that's going on and walking away from the proposal. I feel a little bit sorry for some of the people that are sitting in this room that did a fantastic job. So some of the language that's gone on is basically saying, nice job, staff, but everything you did and all the work you did and all the paperwork that was put together and all the interviews, that's out the door. We don't care about that. So, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. But here's my most important. If Transwest has been doing this for 30 years, and all we're saying is we're going to open up to 2 other parties, and they're doing a great job, what are they so worried about? Why do they need to have a mandate? They're doing a great job. You heard them go on. They have all this interesting math that they put forth. What are they worried about? What they're worried about is someone actually coming in and taking a little part of that business. And so I just say, look, let Mark decide. They've been doing a great job. I don't debate that. We just think we have some offerings that some other departments might want to take a look at and go through that whole piece. And the pricing's right there, and all the information's been provided. So we're good to go. We already agreed to the T's and C's. We're ready to go. So, yeah.
Thank you, sir. There's a lot of history that informs this conversation and decision that isn't getting discussed today. And it's not It's not your fault if you don't know it. But it's there and it's in the back of a lot of people's minds. Supervisor Peters, did you punch in again? No. Okay. Supervisor Flores is back. Did you punch in, Supervisor Flores?
I did, sorry.
Okay.
Too much tea and too much time. Okay, so Supervisor Couch, I didn't get a chance to weigh in on what you talked about earlier, but this plane has been flying for a long time. In some ways, I'm a little irked that we've spent so much time on this because we have pressing priorities in my district and throughout the county. I've got homeless encampments. I've got code enforcement issues, and we're dealing with this RFP that needs to be dealt with. The amount of focus and time and resources that have gone into this is a lot. And I need to land the plane back so we can get to other business. I'd like to take care of this today. It's going to take sorry, I just ran back. It's going to take 3 affirmative votes to get us to where we need to go. Dave has outlined, Chairman Couch has outlined a flight path to land the plane, to get back to business, the other business that needs to be tended with. And I'm really frustrated on other fronts. And we've spent a lot of time on this front, and I want to get off this front. He's found a way to find this, to land the plane, preserve a vendor that's serving us well, but also preserve choice for those departments that want it. And so I like where you're going, and that's all I want to say right now. And it ultimately rests with this board, not the scoring committee.
Right. So I guess just my final thoughts on this. I agree with Supervisor Flores. We've debated this ad nauseum. A lot of good points on both sides. I appreciate everybody that participated in it, everybody that went through the interviews, everybody that applied, and everybody that's working to serve the county. That being said, I feel like moving forward today would be in our best interest. And as this is a 2-year agreement, this is going to, this is not
Get to do it again in 2 years.
exactly a long-term proposition here. So this, I think, will give us, the continued stability that we've had. We'll also have a chance to test the waters and let other departments have that choice wherever they feel that it's appropriate. So I'm going to second Chairman Couch's motion.
I think that's a motion.
If I may clarify the motion, are you asking us to select Transwest as the successful vendor and then not enter into agreements unless departments want to do separate procurement process? I
think that's a fair way of, probably a clearer way of.
And I think that would include reporting back to this board with departments.
I would prefer that we bring to your board an agreement and then separate agreements with departments that have chosen not to select Transwest as their provider, rather than a list. I think it brings all of the agreements at the same time. We can do it all at one option, otherwise it would appear that we are telling departments to just pick one vendor. If your board truly wants that, test the water and have the ability for departments to enter into separate agreements.
Well, they have that now, right?
They do, and so your board is asking to select Transwest. I think that's the final one vendor. You have that option, as I mentioned, one or multiple. If your board wants to pick Transwest, then we would enter into a price agreement, depending on negotiation on the terms, with Transwest only. And then if departments wants to pick other vendors, they will bring separate agreements to your board. I will bring the Transwest to your board. That will be the first item on your agenda, and then we'll bring separate agreements depending on the needs of the departments if they want to go through that process.
I'm going to modify that. What I'm asking for is for you to bring back we'd like to select Transwest as the successful vendor. I want you to find out. You'll find out because someone will let you know. I don't even know that you need to ask, but if a department head wants to make a change, I'd like you to report that to us. Before you enter negotiations, I'd like to know who it is. They should have no problem doing that. I would have no problem doing it.
Okay, we will
Is
do
that,
that.
is that a,
That gives me
am I creating a
heartburn.
problem?
You are creating a problem, I think.
Describe it for me,
But
if you
we
can.
will do as your board chooses to do. We will
Well,
sign.
hang on, I don't want to just create a problem, but describe the problem for me, the nature of the problem.
I think we are deciding from what departments, I think we need to have a price agreement. If your board chooses to have Transwest, we will sign a price agreement, and then the departments can continue using Transwest as they do. And if they choose at some point, go through a procurement process, we follow our existing policies for that process, rather than bring a list up front. And we'll just follow our procurement process. If over, 200,000 will be in front of your board. I think that's the fair solution for departments and Transwest. That way, Transwest is aware that they have the price agreement, and departments can choose that price agreement.
Okay,
Does that capture your original?
I think so, but I was trying to allow departments some flexibility.
They have it on their existing process. We'll use
Okay.
our existing policies
All
to
right.
follow that process.
So that was the motion. Supervisor Peters seconded it. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved, 3 ayes, 1 absent. Supervisor Perez.
Okay. I think we are at the end of the morning agenda, so I need a motion to adjourn to closed session.
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you. We're adjourned.